Ready to go live. Going live. And we are live.
Oh.
Hmm?
I was about to give you the end of your coffee, and I was like, oh, never mind. There's nothing in there.
I have drunk my coffee.
Yes.
It is drunk, and my phone is blowing up suddenly. Anyway, hello. Hello. How are you all doing?
Oh, we're actually live. Hello.
Yes. Well, it's 15:49. I kind of had to do something, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, hello. Yes. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you all doing?
Welcome.
Yes. Right, we are back. Is Graham overclocking Caradog's chair? No. Could a chair even be done? No. I think the closest thing you can get to there is, like, if you had an electric chair that went up and down, you could overvolt it so it goes faster. But
wee.
yeah, but that's not overclocking. It greatly bothers me when people say, "Oh, we're going to overclock this vacuum cleaner," and then they put like 500 volts in it, and I'm like, well, that's not overclocking. But yeah. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, how is the cold? More or less better. I consider myself to be not ill anymore. I've still got a bit of a cough, so I'm probably going to be like every now and then. So apologies for that in advance. What's with the title? Well, Caradog is a folding at home nerd, and he's going to set up these two very fast computers for folding at home. That is today's primary objective. So yeah, and if that doesn't actually take a very long time, I've gotten really annoyed with how noisy my bench power supply is, so I bought a Noctua fan to put in it. So we're going to poop brownify my DC bench power supply. So that's the backup content.
What you really need is also stickers that you can just apply to it, just to prove your cred.
Just let everyone know that there's a Noctua in it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Fair enough. Ben Laird, thank you very much for the £5. Hi, all from Scotland. How you doing? Right. Anyway, so how's the desks?
Silent.
The desks are still good. So this desk is not good, but it's going to be a long time before this one gets replaced with anything because it's fit for purpose at the moment. The electric desk for the main workbench is very good. It's still going to be a couple of weeks before the video for that gets done. I need to order the new top for that before I can start recording the actual review. However, I've been using that bench for long enough that I've kind of made up my mind at this point. I'm like, yes, this is good. This is good. I'm happy. So yeah, folding at home, some sort of origami project? No, it's a what is folding at home?
Kind of. It could be an origami project.
Well, it is folding
kind
things,
of.
Isn't it?
Yes, because instead of using paper, you used proteins. And worked out the ways that they combine and fold and make their shapes. And that's what it's all about, is working out how they fold, how they misfold, create incorrect versions of proteins, and kind of the effects from that.
And such science leads to breakthroughs in medical research.
Yeah, absolutely. There's I had actually a list of the stuff because there's a full list of papers that have come straight from the Folding at Home data on the socials for Folding at Home.
All right, so yeah, this is a list of things that Folding at Home has directly contributed to doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of cool.
There's a project called the Moonshot Project, which is about vaccines for. I don't know if I can say the word. Is YouTube still funny about it?
What, COVID?
The human malware.
No. YouTube is way over that now, thankfully.
Good, fine. Yeah. Yes, there is something called the Moonshot Project for COVID vaccines, for making, I think it's specifically branded as an open source vaccine.
Oh, interesting.
An open source RNA one? I can't remember. Something about it, but basically a case of going through all of that stuff to then make it so anyone can manufacture it who has the equipment to manufacture vaccines. There's no licensing, there's no patents, there's no attribution things, all of that stuff, and making all of the research from it public.
This could especially be very useful just because obviously COVID is a thing that's not going away at this point. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the fact of obviously because influenza is a COVID virus.
Yes.
Because COVID is
It's
a family of viruses. So yeah, and it's research on all of that, on the spike proteins, how it avoids detection, things like that. And it could also lead in, it's also a case of there is research and stuff on antivirals and things like that, because we don't currently really have any valid current antivirals.
Yeah.
So it's all lots of bits of research on there. There's research on there about Alzheimer's, about Huntington's, about cancers. So yes, there's lots of different bits, and there's lots of different sized work units. So all of the projects are split up into things called work units, and those work units are different sized, and you'll go through from something that can run on a GT760 to something that runs on a 3090.
Yeah.
And you've got different scale size projects, and they loosely band them off. So, you know, a 150,000 atom protein doesn't try and get folded on the 7060, where it would take it 6 years to complete, but it does preferentially go to 3080s, 3080 Ti's, 3090s.
Yeah, that's cool. So they will actually distribute workloads that are appropriate for the hardware that you're trying to run it on. Yeah.
Yeah. For that, but also a case of they can override that. Sometimes they go, no, these projects must be completed, and they just go to everyone.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So yeah.
Cool.
So it's all about that, and then it's a case of it's something that works on the GPU side or on the CPU side. And it was just purely something I noted that more and more and more and more people are building rigs with more and more and more GPUs in. So someone might have, you know, a 5 GPU setup, but they'll have no CPUs. And I was like, well, I have two effectively now spare 5950Xs. They have lots of cores, they have lots of threads. Zen 3 go burr.
Yes, it does. Cool.
These motherboards approximately have all the VRM ever.
Yes. Very good.
420mm AIO. I was like, it can run all the power ever.
Cool.
So yeah.
All right.
It's just that basically, and because there seems to be there doesn't seem to be an increase in the amount of CPU folding performance out there in the pool of people. So I thought I might as well add to it.
Fair enough. Cool. All right. So so we're going to finish. So we start the cooler on the Crosshair 8 last week. So we're basically doing that again on the Aorus Master that you've got here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So kind of just doing a repeat of what we did last week while we chat, and then you're going to download and set these up to run folding at home. So we'll have a look at that as well. And yeah, we'll see what conversations come up along the way.
Absolutely. The thing that I will need help with, because I still haven't worked out how to do it.
Yeah.
And absolutely my main demonstration of why I maintain that Linux is not viable for a desktop operating system.
Yeah.
I have yet to ever get Chrome or Edge to install is a one-click install, even though both of them from their website say, download this, double-click on it, and it installs. Never has.
Fair enough.
Across like 6 different machines and 13 different OSs.
Are you going to be running Linux on these then?
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
Fair enough then.
But I'm just like,
okay, well, we can certainly give that a shot. Although
the only reason I want that is because there's an extension I need that is a Chrome extension.
Yeah.
Obviously, it will run on Edge because Edge supports Chrome extensions.
Yes.
But it won't run on Firefox.
Okay.
And there isn't a Firefox equivalent.
Yes.
So, and it's a case of obviously Firefox, absolutely fine on Linux, not a problem. It's bundled on almost all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense then.
That will also be an interesting attempting to see if that magically works out of the box this time.
Sure thing. Yeah. Well, we'll see how that goes then.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that we will need to do as well is just update the BIOS on both of these. Just make sure we've actually done that.
Cool. Speaking of which, I will get the capture card set up in a sec because that is not set up and we're going to be doing a load of software stuff. So I'll probably start doing that while you start fitting stuff on this. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll shunt these two power supplies out the way so people can vaguely see what you're doing, and we'll get to work on that. So yes, right. Barney Magician asks, I'll come back to this one in a sec. Firstly, hello Katrina, how you doing? Other than being bored, thank you for coming here in your boredom. Lovely to see you again.
I am pleased that we are at least a slight improvement on you sitting being bored.
Yes. Right. And Barney Magician asks, what team are you in for folding at home? Are you in a team?
Yes. I am in the old Micromart UK one. So if you remember Micromart, the computer magazine?
Yeah, not specifically. Micromart rings a bell to me, but yeah, I don't remember it as a I recognise the name, but I don't remember the magazine.
Yeah, it was a weekly magazine.
Yeah,
that was sort of 80-ish pages, printed on matte paper for the lowest possible cost.
Fair enough.
But it was I used to pick that up. I think it was, or was it monthly? I can't remember. I used to pick that up basically every time.
Yeah.
And the Micromart forum was my first experience with a tech community.
Yeah.
Was my first experience with a community of tech people that was specifically heavily moderated by people going, you will be nice to people. If that makes sense.
Yes.
There will be no going, well, why didn't you buy this?
Yes.
Because you will get removed, kind of thing.
Yeah.
There was very high standards of being...
Don't be a dick.
Yes, exceedingly high standards of that. And then there was also a chat room running on there. And just, that was my hangout online for 4 or 5 years. Most days sort of thing.
Rad.
I'd have it in the background whilst other stuff was going on, and I'd see people flit in and out and stuff like that. And there were just lots of guides from lots of people on the forums as well. There was one on there that someone built, how to rip CDs in a modern fashion, and just kind of stuff like that. Yeah. And just talking about the differences between fixed bitrate and variable bitrate MP3s, and talking about how lame changed the industry and stuff like that. Yeah. From people who were technical, but that wasn't their job kind of thing. So they hit that level of, I'm a technical person, so I'm writing for other technical people, but I'm not an industry expert, so I'm not using all of the jargon kind of thing. Yes. But I'm using the technical words. Yes. And that
that's
was
a
just
very
a
good
really
middle ground.
good level.
Rad.
And just stuff like that. So and I spent a lot of time there. And
is that where you discovered folding at home?
Yes, probably.
Yeah.
I cannot think of anywhere else where I would have picked it up. But on there, and just a case of the friendly competition that there was vying around it. Just about 2007, 2008. So just before first gen Core, Intel Core was coming out. Yeah. Just before the RTX 400 series. The GTX 400 series launched. Yeah. And I got my i7 920 GTX 470 computer. Yeah. And we went, in that generation, it was one of the largest single step-ups in points per day that the community had seen. So we'd gone from people's desktop machines doing maybe 24,000, maybe 30,000 a day, to doing 150,000. Okay, yeah. There was suddenly that explosion in the points per day thing, and just stuff like that. Rad. But it was also a case of because of folding at home, it was the first time I ever experimented properly with virtualization and things like that, because it was discovered that it was more efficient to run a dual thread Ubuntu installation in a virtual machine, running a dual thread CPU client twice, so 2 virtual machines running on your computer, each one of them dual core, on your quad core CPU, than it was to run a single quad core instance under Windows. It was more efficient to run a virtual machine with virtualization technology of 2007 than it was to run it straight in Windows. Fair enough. And we're talking 20% here. Yeah.
That's nuts, man.
And it's just weird stuff like that, yeah. And it was part of the thing that inspired me to try and clock the absolute daylights out of my
that's the
Q6600.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, and I'm just going to zip back to chat for a sec before I make my point, just to be like, by the way, happy birthday, Katrina, as well. So very happy birthday. Everyone say happy birthday, Katrina, because Katrina is awesome and we like her. So happy birthday.
Happy 30th, right?
I'm not going to guess. Because whatever I say will be the wrong answer. Let's see, there's competition from Bad Caps, apparently.
1 second.
Oh, they're on the front desk.
I require my SSDs.
Yeah. Yes, very well. And yeah, also Chris Hartford said weekdays Chris Hartford says weekdays in his teens he used to get a copy of Micromart, head down to Tottenham Court Road PC Fair. So yeah, that sounds pretty heckin' cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yes, so going back to following up on I'm able to get in and talk if I want, but Caradog is talking about a subject he is passionate about, so I'm going to sit here and nod and say yes a lot. So yeah, he's allowed to do it. Normally, I get accused of talking over you all the time, or just sort of going kind of thing, like I'm not actually interested. But so yeah. Anyway, I suppose the interesting thing about this is with folding at home is it means that it gives you an objective. It's like, because one of the problems with overclocking is always a matter of, but why though? Because certainly
because number get bigger.
Well, that's it. Because in gaming, there's often not really very much to gain from overclocking. Overclocking your graphics card, yeah, sure, you can get a bit out of that, but even that is not really a very interesting game these days. To be honest, if you want your graphics card to go faster, you get better cooling on it, and it goes faster because floating boost. However, now it's a case of if you're into folding at home, then there's actually an objective reason why you want the machine to go faster. So it's a case of we have to make the machine to go faster to make the number go bigger. The line must go up.
Yes.
However, in this instance, it's because it's folding at home, it's actually a fairly wholesome reason to make the line go up. So yeah, it's actually kind of cool. So yes, it is of course my 29th birthday again, says Katrina.
Very good.
So yeah. The camera looks nice and crisp today, apparently, so good job.
Excellent. Yes, yes. I actually double-checked and manually focused it, and remembered to not autofocus.
Yes, because you're getting bored of everyone going, camera's out of focus. Oh, camera's hunting. Oh, Caradog's camera's a bit shit, isn't it? So
it does have its problems with that.
All right. Anyway, very good then. Good. The capture has been set up, so I've done my bit. So, all right then. So, Caradog is going to stick in. So, we've got. So last week we had this crosshair 8, and Caradog put his. So, what did you put in there last? Oh yeah, it was the 5950X.
Yeah, it was the one that came with it.
Yeah. Then the 5950X that we've got here, that's come out of your gaming PC, which you've just put a 5800X 3D into.
Yes.
So yes.
Yes, and as a comment in the exclusive chat the other night, I was just like, "Oh, my boost clocks," because just seeing the boost numbers not being 5.1 gigahertz, I was just like, "Is it broken?" And then I looked up the specs, and it was like boost 4.5, and I was just like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, the 5800X is not a wrecking machine. I don't know. I find it weird that they made the 3D version of the 5800X. My only
probably because they couldn't get rid of the 5800Xs.
I was about to say, I think the only reason I can think of is they're like, well, we've got a lot of 5800X cores lying around. Let's bolt some more stuff onto them to make them a bit more desirable. And I always think it's unfair because the 5800X and the 3800X by extension, it goes on special offer all the time. The MSRP on it isn't good value for money, no. But, it goes on sale all the time if you keep your eye out. And if you pick one up on sale, it's tough to beat. Because, when the Ryzen 5000 CPUs first came out, the 5600X was a $300 CPU. and it sort of slowly then drooped down to like 280 or looking toward 250. But you could routinely find a 5800X for $300. And we picked some up for what? Did we get them for £260 or £270?
I think it was 260 plus 20%.
Yeah.
Whatever the VAT is on 260.
Yeah. And
which made them less than £300 delivered.
Yeah.
From Amazon Italy.
That's it. So we were buying 5800Xs for basically the same price as a 5600X. And that's why I've got a 5800X in the shop's gaming PC and in my gaming PC at home. Because that is a really cheap processor for the amount of horsepower it has.
Oh,
and yeah, it's a furnace, but considering the price of it, you don't care. And as long as you're running aftermarket cooling, it doesn't matter that it's a furnace.
Yeah. It was the thing that surprised me with the 5800X 3D was the fact that even at only 4.5, at a fixed voltage of 1.2, it was at like 80 degrees.
Yes.
I was just like, oh!
Yes.
Because I've gone from a 5950X, which will do all core at like 4.65 on 16 cores at like 65C at 1.2 volts or 1.225. And I'm just like, ah!
When you have a 5800X, you click on the start button and your CPU will spike to 70 degrees. So there's just a case of when people are just like, I got a new 5600X and it's running at 75 degrees. Is that okay? And I'm just like, that's fine. Don't worry about it, son.
Do not concern yourself with these numbers.
Yes. So yeah, and like obviously the 5900X is supposed to be the one for gaming because when you get to the 5950X, you're starting to lose boost clock in exchange for cores.
No, the 5950X should be the highest boosting out of the 5000 series because it has cherry-picked CCXs.
Oh, that's
or at least the first 6 or 7 months of them definitely had cherry-picked CCXs.
Yeah.
So they were well above on the standard voltage frequency curve.
Yeah.
So you would get way more clock per volt.
Yeah.
On those ones.
The 5900X in theory should have been faster, but in practice the 5950X was boosting harder just because it had better binned CCXs.
Yeah.
So yeah, fair enough.
The 5950X had all of the cherry-picked ones.
Yeah.
And they, as far as I understand it, they were disabling working cores to make like 5900s and stuff.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Instead of shipping those working cores in 5950Xs, but them not hitting the voltage curve.
Yeah.
Which was an interesting move, I thought. But also, they're not going to be selling that many 5950Xs.
No.
So it was a case of, obviously it worked out very well for them, given that AMD year on year has doubled.
Yeah.
Quarter on quarter for the past 9 quarters, it's doubled or something. I was just like, line go up.
Yeah. At the end of the day, their interest is to sell silicon. So it's a case of as long as they've got enough silicon to ship as many 5950Xs as they can, if they have to bin the surplus down to lower tier CPUs, doesn't matter. They're still selling them and making money.
Yeah.
So
it's also to a degree why we had the issue with 5600 stock because they couldn't make any CCXs that were bad enough.
Yeah, the yield was too
no,
good.
my yield, it's too good.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have.
But yeah, it was also why we just had generally issues with supply on the consumer ones.
Yeah.
Because why would I sell this CCX with 6 cores in for £400 when I can sell it for £2,600 as a server CPU?
Yes.
So it was kind of on that front as well.
Yeah.
I require you.
Fair enough. Yeah, Arnold G and Artinots saying, Arnold G remembers the 2-socket CPU days, and Artinots was saying apparently Ryzen was supposed to have dual-socket motherboards. Yeah, I think the problem is that it's not that it couldn't be done, but with core counts being what they are, you just don't need them, is the short answer.
Who said I needed any of this?
Yeah, but like that's the thing, because I've run dual socket systems, and
I want to build a socket 940 dual socket computer at some point.
I had one.
Just because I wanted one so much when they were current.
Yeah.
And I want to build it and then go, I have built this.
Yeah, I had one, and I should have been gaming on it. I don't know why I wasn't, to be honest. I think at the time, because at the time I was running small form factor, and my dual socket build was obviously a full blown.
I was about to say, how the hell were you running small form factor dual socket?
However, I own the dual socket system because it was a system that had been written off that I then took and bought the replacement parts myself to get it up and running again. Are you just being an idiot? Yes.
The socket is a different rotation on this board to the X570S.
Oh.
That's what confused me, because I lined up the same way as I lined it up for the X570S and then went, oh, it isn't.
I'm going to heckin' look up a picture of that, because that seems a bit odd. I'll get back to you in a minute on that one. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So I was running a socket 939 Opteron in a small form factor rig. And then I acquired a dual Opteron setup that had come out from a client. The job that I was working in at the time, this was around this time when I first started working at the old computer repair shop. This was in the Cube Computers, not Cube Computers. This was in the Gold Hill Computers days. And previously, but before Gold Hill Computers, we'd been working for a company that was doing real-time video encoding for broadcast. So they were
back when that wasn't a thing that you did.
Yeah. So we were building servers for a company, and the servers needed to do a broadcast quality video encode to transmit across the internet. And this was obviously early days of streaming, so just streaming in general was difficult. However, doing real-time encoding for broadcast quality media required top-of-the-line hardware for the time. And we were building computers that could do this, which was basically dual Opteron, and they were mainly doing it encoding on CPU, but there were a couple of them that had big-ass graphics cards in, where they were experimenting with GPU encoding of the video as well.
Oh yeah, because there wouldn't have been any hardware acceleration on the GPUs then.
We did build one of them with an AMD Toxic, a Sapphire Toxic in it though, or whatever the Toxic was of the day.
Oh god.
So it had the separate liquid cool module and everything. That was.
Wait, would that have been HD 1000 series?
I don't know. I can't remember what it was.
Or are those two new?
Yeah, I can't remember because
I can't remember when we're talking about. Oh, this is about 12 years ago.
Yeah, no, longer than that.
Yeah,
more like 14 years ago probably. Yeah. But this was back where I was in a bit of a void of not actually knowing much about hardware, despite being an enthusiast kind of thing. So yeah, but yeah, at any rate, one of those machines ended up being in my hands again, and I ended up owning it. And I had that for a while, and it was not long after that that dual-core CPU started to become a thing, and I then dropped a dual-core Opteron into my socket 939 board. And obviously, going from single-core to dual-core doubles the compute power of your computer, so it was kind of a big deal.
Oh, you didn't go from 2 cores, 2 CPU to 4 cores, 2 CPU.
No, this was just on my gaming PC with the single CPU. Right. I went from a single core to a dual core CPU. So this is why I bring this up, because now in retrospect I'm thinking I had a dual CPU system in the other room. Why wasn't I gaming on that? Because it would have completely obliterated my gaming PC had I put the graphics card in it.
Probably because the core-to-core latency would have been so horrendous.
Maybe that was it. There just wouldn't have been any actual benefit to it. So yeah, also it was running ECC RAM as well, so the RAM wouldn't have been anything particularly hot. But yeah, I don't know. Kind of interesting though. But yeah, that's the end of my story. I don't really know what the point of the story was, but that was just a thing that I was involved in at one point, and I had. So yeah.
Do you know what it was they were actually like transcoding? Were they actually doing like ITVs.
That was the intention.
Oh, we see. They were doing actual terrestrial broadcast.
I think it was designed.
Transcoding.
I think the intention was to be event higher. So,
I see.
So
okay.
So let's say you're doing
Insomnia.
You're doing possibly, but I think the main intention was mainly for sports events, that kind of thing.
Oh boy.
So
yeah, that would be super early on, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so for example, sport event or a sport event that would have been on location kind of thing. They roll up in a van with the servers in the van, broadcast quality camera links into the van, and they can then broadcast that across the internet in real time. That was the intention, I think. I don't know how well they actually did. I don't know if it was a success or not. They certainly bought. Can that really not come out? He's got the power cable stuck underneath the cooler. Okay, there we go.
That's the fact that not even considering it being a problem.
I seem to remember they probably ordered a good 10 or 15 of the actual machines, and these machines were $3,000 a pop, I think, possibly more. So they were certainly ordering enough hardware that they must have been doing something with it. And it was fairly consistent as well. There wasn't a huge amount of change. Also, these systems did get shipped around the world, because the reason why I ended up with one of them is that one of them got completely trashed by customs on its way back at some point. I've got somewhere on my Google Photos, I've got an album of just tech gore pictures of what at the time was a top-end workstation that had basically just been taken apart by someone who has no understanding of how a computer is assembled, and just sort of looked at it like some monkey had just unscrewed all the bits and been like, "There's no drugs in here," and just put it in the box loose, put the lid on, and shipped it. So you'd had all of this very heavy, expensive equipment just rattling around in the computer in shipping. It didn't arrive in very good condition. So, yeah, that was a thing. But yeah, let's see. What was the other thing I was going to point out? Oh yeah, someone else asked earlier on. Where was it? I'm going to scroll back a little bit to find it just so I can give an answer to that. There it was. Sleepwalker asked earlier on, how did my customer react when I couldn't fix the Dell gaming laptop for the video that came out yesterday? Yeah, he was fairly chill about it. Bit disappointed, but then so was I. Both of us thought that was going to be an easy fix. I was expecting that to be a TVS diode or a shorted capacitor in the battery charger or something like that. And I thought we were going to open that thing up. We were going to be like, main power rail is shorted. Awesome. Time for voltage injection. Inject voltage, there's the dead capacitor, replace the capacitor, working laptop, upload that to YouTube. And that would have been very good. However, it's a case of, as soon as I saw 2.8 ohms on the main power rail, I was like, uh-oh, that's CPU resistance. And if you're seeing CPU resistance on your main power rail, you're probably done. And I was, so yeah. No thermal paste on the CPU. It's pre-applied on these things, I assume?
No, it was pre-applied on the CPU.
Oh.
because I stuck...
He reused the thermal paste.
I stuck Chrono on it last night because I couldn't remember if you had any up here.
I see, okay.
And I was like, it's shipping in a plastic box. That much came off.
Fair enough, actually, yeah. Okay.
He's not reusing it, it was pre-applied.
Very good. Cool.
But yeah, I will check if that's actually worked or not with temps, obviously.
Yeah, well, we can do a direct comparison. So, yep, that should be about right. Very good. Here he is, dirty, dirty boy. Cool. All right. So we put in a couple of... oh, excuse me, I need to cough a sec. Oh. Where were we? Yes. We put a couple of 128 gig M.2 SSDs in there because they don't need any storage. Frightened the life out of me when these showed up today because I unboxed them from Amazon and was just like, I didn't order these, which means I probably ordered the wrong thing and these have showed up instead. However, it turns out they were for these. So, yes.
Absolutely. And I looked and I was like, oh, I mean, these could just run off of hard drives. It doesn't matter. And then I looked and I was just like, I can buy a hard drive for £20. Or I can buy an SSD for £20.
Is that how much these were? Like £20? Yeah. I mean, they're only 128 gigs, but £20?
Yeah. 20 quid for that.
Yeah.
Like £7 or £8 for the little M.2 to USB adapters, just the cheap, crappy ones. It will perform better than a USB 3 pen drive as well, I'd imagine.
Well, these are NVMe, and the NVMe to USB adapters tend to be a bit more expensive. They're more like 30 or 40.
I see.
The cheap M.2 to USB adapters you're seeing are SATA. Yeah. So you have to have a SATA M.2.
Gross.
Yeah. Which is super annoying. It's the main reason why I haven't just bought and built a bunch of high-speed portable SSDs. Because I only bother doing it with just odd second-hand random SATA M.2s that I have lying around. But yeah. Let's see. Arnold, did I open up the socket that BIOS yet? The two-door type? Not specifically, but I mean, I've opened them before. It's a socketed BIOS. It's, you know, you see them all the time on higher-end boards. So yeah. Yeah. That's it, really. Yeah, there's not much to say about it, really. They're actually kind of annoying to open. They're really awkward to open up those little two-door socket BIOS sockets. The only reason why they're there is just because you can't socket a SON 8. Yeah, SON 8. I think SOP. That's the one. SOP 8 package. So yeah, super annoying. However, I do wish that all motherboards had them, just because socketed BIOSes are awesome, though. So you can see a not to a fan box on the table. You can. This is my DC bench power supply, and if we run out of stuff to do, we're going to put this not to a fan in this bench power supply to make it not as noisy as it was before. So yeah. Biomagician with the £2. Thank you very much. Do you need to get any more bits for your build? I'm not sure yet. As I mentioned on Discord the other day, I'll level with you. I have not gotten to this yet, just because I've spent all week being sick, and well, not being sick, but I have been under the weather all week, and basically just trying to keep things on tick over. But I've just not felt brave enough to undertake anything big, if I'm honest. But I'm going to be in the shop all evening tonight, and I'm probably going to make a start on it tonight, which is what I planned on doing last week. But yeah, just I was not well, so yes.
I do not require your USB Wi-Fi. I have the fancy motherboards.
Oh, very whatever.
Absolutely.
You're planning on treating yourself to a bench power supply when you get back home? Any recommendations? I haven't looked at what's about recently. I still recommend to look for something that is the equivalent of this one.
I had a look at all of the links you posted for these, and all of them are 404s.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. It's so hard to maintain affiliate links. I need to make a big master spreadsheet with the links on it, so it's easy to link to that spreadsheet, and every now and then, make it just so people can comment on one spot of the spreadsheet, just to say this link is broken, just so I can point out which ones need to be updated. But this is a Hanmatech HM305P. It's also been sold under Rockhead, I think it is, as well, and various other brands. But if you searched for like DC power supply 305P or something like that, or look for something that looks like this one, so with the triple line display, the programmable buttons and the jog dial, and the two power buttons, you'll probably find just an equivalent of this. The main thing that you want to look out for is programmable memory buttons are handy but not essential. But the big thing that I would highly recommend ensuring that it has is a clunking power switch and a output on off switch. Because if it doesn't have two separate switches for power and output on off, in order to set the amps, you just have to short the output, and then set the amps that way in a dead short. And that's just clunky and horrid, and I hate it. Whereas if you've actually got an output enable disable, then that means you'll be able to set your output amps without switching the thing on. And yeah, it's just so much better. What are you after?
A knife?
I put down my knife somewhere and I don't know. Oh, it's here.
Ah.
So yes.
Very well.
Arnold says, I was sick. Instant mocha coffees help. I bought some of those this week as well. Yep, I bought some of the awful Nescafe double choc mochas. And they're a bit odd, but sometimes it's just what you want. So, let's see. Arnold G also says, get the 10 amp, not the 5 amp. You reckon? When do you use 10 amps, Arnold G? Serious question. Because this is the 5 amp model, but I've never needed... I suppose if you want to power high power laptops, you might want to go 19 volts, 10 amps. That's a reason to do it, I guess.
I think it was also just a case of when I looked, you could get the 5 amp one for like £100. You could get the 10 amp one for like 110.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's double the power.
I don't need 10 amps, but £10.
Yeah, that makes sense. If it's literally fractionally more expensive for the 10 amp version, then sure, why not? So yeah. You got one. Why only 500 watt PSU?
Because only CPU.
Yeah, there's no graphics card, basically.
Well, there will be the highest of end HD 545 something. They're so low end, they can't even be bothered to print the entire model number on the label. They are HD 545 something.
They're 5450s. But yeah. But yes, basically no graphics cards in these systems. So we're only powering the CPU, and these CPUs are going to be looking for
maybe 200 watts.
Oh yeah, I suppose if you overclock.
Yeah, but maybe 200 watts, maybe 10 watts on other bits on the board.
Yeah.
20 watts on other bits on the board.
But yeah.
Whatever these fans are, and that's it.
Certainly the whole system ain't going to top out a 500 watt power supply. So yeah.
Yeah.
The reason why I say, you got one, because at the start of the stream, Caradog was just like, someone's going to get mad about 500 watt power supplies. So, however, in fairness, Cecilia is not mad.
Yes,
so, it's just asking a legitimate question.
It would be a valid question if this were a normal computer.
Yeah.
This is not a normal computer. But also, you know what we were saying about those 500 watt power supplies that are really good, but look basic as hell.
Yeah. That's really small as well.
Yeah, the EVGA 500 GD 2019 edition or later.
Is that a 120mm fan? I think it is. So, like, this entire power supply is like 120mm long. I'm getting the heckin' calipers for that. That's a really short boy power supply. Which is interesting, because that means there's some really compact builds that would be very good at.
Yeah.
Although that much being said, of course, is a modular power supply can be bigger and take up less space because modular. Oh no, it's 140mm deep, which is still very short, but that's not groundbreaking.
I don't require the manual.
How do I install power supply?
But also, they do these in a 700 watt version as well.
Hmm.
And if it's the same size for 700 watt...
That'd be very impressive.
That would be impressive.
Yeah. I'll be surprised if it is, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. 41 amp 12 volt rail as well. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Motor tests. Okay,
I entirely
fair
misread
enough.
that and thought it said it came with 5 times floppy connector. I was just like...
For all of your floppy drive needs.
I was just like, excuse me? Why do I require 5 floppy connectors?
Rolling back to the bench power supply bit a bit more. How much did I... I originally paid like £80 for this, I think. I think it was 70 or £80. And at the time, it was unbelievably good value for money. But now, whenever I go looking, I can't seem to find anything that's anywhere near what I paid for this. So I don't know if just I bought it at a time when they were really cheap. I mean, it was before silicon shortage and all the rest of it. But yeah, I originally did not pay a lot for this DC power supply. And now, yeah, I can't find anything anywhere, anything like it for less than $100, I don't think.
EPS.
So, yeah. So, yes, that's the thing.
I'm not a fan of how big that hole is.
Well, again, the higher wattage versions will have more wires coming out of them, won't they? But yeah, it's not like you're going to try and stick your finger in there while it's running, is it? So
not whilst it's running, definitely not.
It would be exciting for me.
Oh my god. Oh. No. See, it is not a floppy adapter. It is a chain with 3 SATA, 2 Molex.
That's a long chain, yeah.
And a chain with 3 SATA, 1 Molex, 1 floppy. Oh boy.
Those are really long chains. I don't know how I feel about that. But, I mean, it's functional. It's all you need in the vast majority of instances. But, yeah. That's really weird braiding as well. The way they've zip-tied it and then heat shrunk it. And it's just like, just some heat shrink would have been fine. But, I don't know. It doesn't particularly matter. You don't buy one of the, these things need to be fit for purpose. So,
and based off of what I've read of the reviews, they are exceedingly high-end power supplies. And I'm just like, very well.
Fair enough. What's EVGA's fully modular series at the moment? Is that still Supernova? I'd be guessing so.
I pay little attention to series of power supplies.
I think if you're after
if
you're after an EVGA power supply and you want fully modular, basically you're looking at the Supernova series, I believe. And the Supernova series, they all seem to be pretty good as far as I can tell. I've got a Supernova in the Lianli at the moment. My only beef with it is it's quiet enough, but it's odd because it underruns its fan, gets heat soak, and then runs the fan higher speed for a bit, and then goes quiet again, which
That's
is
weird.
a bit annoying because just now and then you'll just hear the computer suddenly start going, "Woo!" And you're like, "What are you doing?" And it's just where the PSU fan has just kicked in for a bit and then goes off and then goes down to low speed. And this happens whether the eco switch is on or off. So it's a bit, don't know how I feel about it. So, any suggestions on a new hot air station for under £100? Probably what I use, which is a Quick 857 DW Plus. The Quick 857 DW Plus, you can find that on AliExpress for about £100 delivered, I think. And that is more or less as good as you're going to get for less than 3 figures. What was I going to say? What did I spot earlier on? Hang on a sec. Earlier on, Pete Richardson said, "Afternoon, Graham and Caradog. GameMax has some interesting looking new cases on Amazon. I'm going to have a quick look at those while we talk and see what they've got."
Interesting.
I like GameMax.
I don't
it's
like
just
the way this cable's folding.
just the last time that I was talking to GameMax, I just didn't really care for much of their stuff that was coming out. But yeah, one of the problems is just sort of they're all just none of them are just sort of cases where I'm just like, oh, I'd actually like to use this kind of thing. They haven't, or not that I've seen for a while anyway. I'd have to have a look to see what's new. I can certainly see a couple of designs there that I don't recognise, but I haven't been looking for a while. Right. The EVGA BQ series is semi-modular, which is often good enough.
I thought the BQ series was the one that keeps getting slated for being approximately awful. Is the BQ series the one that's 80 gold nothing?
Yeah, apparently that's the cheapest one from EVGA.
What, the BQ?
Yeah.
I think that keeps getting slated in actual reviews.
Yeah.
Just saying that, even though it says EVGA, do not.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Certainly, I wouldn't use anything that's not at least 80 plus bronze. If it doesn't even meet 80 plus bronze, that kind of tells you a thing or two about it, basically.
Yeah.
Like
80 plus is not a mark of quality. It isn't a mark of it being well built. Look at the 2 gigabyte ones, which were gold rated and still failed.
Yeah.
However,
if you don't have it, that says a thing or two.
Yeah, not having any particular rating kind of goes, oh, this is very not good.
Oh, excuse me.
No! Escapee!
Chris Harford asks, what's this build for? These 2 builds, because we've got 2 motherboards on the bench at the moment, are going to be folding at home rigs. So we're setting up for folding at home at the moment.
Do you have a thingy?
I have got a thingy, so we can...
The nut driver.
Yeah, we can
just to take this off.
those. Yeah. Let me go and find it.
Because then it means it sits flat on the desk.
Yeah, I was looking at test benches again the other day, but...
I'm kind of...
Where do you get the test benches that LTT and Gamers Nexus use from?
I think there was an American company doing them. Yeah. But they wanted like $200 and something for them. Yeah. If I remember. And it was just like, that's a lot.
Yeah, because that's the problem, is I can't find any good test benches that I look at and go, yes, this is what I want. Because what I want...
do one.
The problem is...
Which wasn't actually very good.
All of them that I've seen are too complicated or way too expensive for what they are. Because all I want is a frame on some legs. So the motherboard goes on top, the power supply goes underneath. That's it. That's all it has to do. And just all the ones I see are just generally just a frame for the motherboard and just don't have any gap for the power supply underneath. So I'm like, okay, well now you've got a power supply hanging off the side, so it's no longer portable kind of thing, which is why you put it in a bench. I did spot one that looked okay, but it was vertical, and I was like, that's kind of neat because it stands upright.
Oh, was that the Thermaltake P3 type one?
No, this was just some other random one. But there you go. However, the because it was vertical, I was like, that's kind of neat because you can pick it up and put it down, and it's vertical, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. But if you're like doing overclocking, so you've got an exotic cooler on it, vertical is no good. I don't know how useful that is either. I was kind of struggling to find anything that I actually quite liked.
Wait, how high is low profile? Low profile is half height, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
Because this doesn't even count as low profile because the heatsink goes over the top.
Yeah.
That's a silly heatsink design. Although there is more of these somewhere in here. Yeah. Where there is the other heatsink design that doesn't have this bit go over the top and just has 2 plates on the back. Yes. One on the back, one on the front.
Also, there's probably also another edition of that has just a fan on it instead, rather than the passive cooler.
Maybe.
And that one probably comes with the low profile bracket in the box or something like that, and uses exactly the same PCB.
So there's certainly no point in making 2.
Katrina says, I can send you my test bench. I ended up not using it. Way too chunky. May well be interested in that, Katrina.
It's okay. We'll ship it with Teltac.
Let me know about that when it's possible. I'm not in a hurry. I might be interested in that. We'll see how it goes. Yes. Apparently the BQ series are bronze.
Okay.
Oh, PCH fan, yeah. I was like, what's making that high pitch noise?
Also, why are you turning on?
Yeah, that's always a bit concerning when the board turns on the moment you plug it in. Stifle. It's also a bit concerning when the board doesn't want to turn off.
Fine.
Might be some troubleshooting coming up in a moment.
Come in.
Finally, something. Now the PCH needs to explode. I love our floor lamp. Is it a gigabyte? Yes, but it's an Aorus Master, so it's a good gigabyte. Or right, it's the good gigabyte. Right, here we go. Right, let's see what it does. Okay, that sounds like it's posting.
Yeah, but why did it turn on?
Power cycling.
Oh yeah, it's also probably going to be trying to load a profile with a lot of RAM overclocks.
Oh yeah. Well, good luck with that. Doo-doo-doo.
It seemed to have sorted itself out though.
Fair enough. Oh yeah, we've got post.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's get the what capture card? The XL1. Bam. There we go. We have post.
Oh wow.
Also, yes, having the radiator sealed against the desk will make the fans noisy.
I didn't expect it to make that much difference.
Yeah,
with it
well,
just kind of idling.
Yeah.
I expected there to be enough leakage around this side, because that bends ever so slightly and stuff like that.
No, you'd be surprised.
Yeah. May I have a new BIOS?
You may. Cool. Very well. Right, let me find le BIOS. Right, this is a
X570.
Heck off. Here we go.
Just X570 Aorus.
570 Aorus Master. So this is the Rev 1.0 board, I assume.
Probably. That's what I flashed every time.
Rev 1.0, yes.
Yeah.
Probably. Don't give me probably.
I don't know. It's what I flashed every single time. I can only tell you which updates I have successfully applied.
Right, I want BIOS F36E.
Yeah.
Cool. Download.
I wonder if I'm on F35.
Right, we're on that. And
that's network.
This. Oh. Flash drive just decided to disappear.
That was
And it.
Is Google Drive? No.
Oh, is it trying to share letters with Google Drive? I don't know. Hang on a sec. Let me check.
Wait, which computers this PC are you looking at?
I'm RDP'd to a different computer. Okay, right, yeah. RDP is heckin' rad, man, because you literally forget where
just minimize.
Yeah.
And then copy paste. And then just paste.
Oh, can you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, right. Let's format that.
As long as it's in a modern format, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay, close and paste. Unspecified error.
Oh. It's possibly because it's a removable drive.
Yeah. This is easily resolved, though.
Indeed. Whilst you are resolving, I am going to grab a drink.
Yes.
Because I am parched.
A sound idea.
And quite warm. Would you like an alcohol of a cider variety?
I would, thank you. Okay, bam. Bam.
Also, did I leave 2 bottles of vintage here?
I know you bought 2 bottles of vintage at some point. I haven't binned them or drunk them.
Because I do not appear to be able to locate them at home, therefore I have drunk them whilst in a stupor or something.
Pass. Right. That's that done. Right, I'm going to clear my throat again and then catch up on chat.
Oh no, we're running low on cider. We may have to supply our own drinks.
Oh no. Okay, right, let's find the chat again.
There we go.
Whoop. Right, I have acquired the BIOS. The BIOS is on the pen drive.
Excellent.
Let's see. Copy over RDP is limited to 1 or 2 gigabytes. Thankfully, this BIOS is not 1 or 2 gigabytes, but it still didn't work, so no idea.
Oh, yeah. I need to see if that will work.
What, you going to try a BIOS flashback or something?
Yeah, without renaming it or anything.
Sure.
I just want to see what it does.
Do you not hold it down or something, or? Should I look up the manual just to see what the BIOS flashback procedure is for this board?
It should be off like this.
Push the button and it turns on and starts flashbacking. Could it be... no, it wouldn't be disabled by BIOS config. That would be done. You think cider has a better taste from the bottle from the can? Yes, absolutely right. Cans are
How bizarre.
the trashiest tier way to drink cider. But that's the kind of people we are, so...
Also, we were gratefully receiving a gift.
This is true. Yeah. This was a gift. But...
If it were Strongbow...
Yes. If it was Strongbow, it would not be a gift. That would be an obligation, you know? All right. It has posted. The monitor is playing silly beggars again. Oh, there it goes. It's kicking. There we go. Yeah. We should have switched out the monitor because we already know that this monitor was giving us grief last week.
Update. What am I on? 35B.
F35B.
Which won't be on the list, I don't think. No, it won't be because they've moved on to 36.
Yeah.
They remove all of the sub-letters when they move on to a new number.
Yeah. So there's... You're 2 versions out of date by the looks of things.
No, I am A, B, C, D, E, 5.
Oh, I see.
6. I'm 6 versions.
Yeah.
Effectively. There you go. You know, I was saying there's an also update backup BIOS option.
Yeah.
That's the option I was on about for a lot of these. And I have no concern because BIOS flashback plus off-board programming.
Absolutely. Yep. Although it's good that it gives you the option because obviously if you're flashing a beta BIOS, then you probably don't want to update your backup BIOS chip.
Yeah, and also the other thing as well is there's a switch on here to disable the backup BIOS. So you can literally just go single BIOS only, and the BIOS won't know there's a backup BIOS.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I like just a straight, you know, A-B selector switch for dual BIOS systems.
Yeah. That you've got a single BIOS, dual BIOS selector, then a
which chip select. Yeah. So I would say single BIOS with a selector switch effectively, because I don't want the board to know it has another BIOS chip because, well, I suppose when updating it, it would be good to put it into dual mode so it can update both the chips. Yeah. So the implementation they've got is what you'd want because when you're doing maintenance on a known good board like this, you would go, cool, dual BIOS, update both the chips. Yeah. And then when you're in sort of when you're in running mode, you go single BIOS, select main.
Yeah.
So the BIOS is actually completely isolated while you're messing around, kind of thing.
There's also the thing that confused the bejesus out of me. The X470 version of this I've got with the 2700X in, that randomly didn't post one time. And I was just like, why is my BIOS version F5? What? Oh!
Yeah.
And I'd completely missed the fact that it'd gone onto the backup BIOS, which is why I've now set the RGB colours to be different.
Ah, yeah.
So one of them has blue saved as the colour. One of them has red saved as the colour.
That's a smart way of doing it, yeah. Yep, that's fair enough.
And there's just enough glow that I can see it.
Fair enough. Let's see. Raider asks, Graham, are you doing graphics card repair? Not as a service yet. However, I am dabbling, and I've actually got a couple of cards to dabble with that will be coming up in a future podcast. There's going to be another Idiot Attempts graphics card repair podcast with one card where I think we know what's wrong with it. I think it needs its VRAM chips to be reflowed, so I'm going to try that. It's a Radeon 280X. It's nothing special. It's just going to be a practice run. But I also received a GTX 1080 from a friend this week, which is giving blue screens at random. I don't know if that's salvageable or not, but I thought we'd at least sort of look into that, just so, if nothing else, we can learn more about assessing graphics cards to know what's worth looking at and what isn't worth looking at. But I need to grab Spud Nugget by the scruff of his neck and be like, can I book you to basically tell me what to do? Because this is the problem, is I don't know how to fix graphics cards. So if we do any kind of graphics card repair content, I basically need Spud Nugget on Discord to be like, okay, now do this. Okay, now do this. Okay, now do this. And I'll be like, yes, sir. So, because Spud Nugget hangs out with the cool kids at Tech Cemetery and actually knows graphics cards. So, yes.
What you'll actually secretly do is randomly probe around a card for 40 minutes, then put it in an envelope and post it to him.
Yes.
And then the week after, just go, so here's the graphics card I fixed.
Through the miracle of sending it to someone who knows what the fuck they're doing, it's now repaired.
Yeah. Although something I thought was interesting on these is it tells you the chip type, and also it tells you it's a 16 megabyte one. And I just find it interesting that it's a 16 megabyte one and not a 32.
Oh yeah, on an X570, I suppose. But yeah. I would imagine if we looked at the CPU support list, we'll probably find that there's just no low-end CPUs on the support list, because why would you run an Athlon 2400G in this motherboard kind of thing? They've probably just said, yeah.
There's also no display out.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's probably, oh God, I wonder if there's any APU support on this board. Because there's no display out.
I mean, it might support a couple of them. It probably supports like the 5000 series APUs.
Yeah. Because the 5000 series APUs don't require support.
Yeah.
They just require, like the 5600G and the 5700G. As long as you've got a BIOS that supports the 5600 and 5700.
Yeah.
Work.
I would wager that it will probably support like the 32 and 3400G as CPUs only. It'll probably support those. But there's a lot of old stuff. Like they've probably this board probably.
Oh God, there were bulldozer CPUs, weren't there?
Yeah, and like the Ryzen 1000 series as well. They've probably been that long time ago on this board because they're just
never supported it.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Probably.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of stuff which they can probably just said, yeah, we're just not going to support any of these CPUs. Look at that. Now we don't need a 32 megabyte BIOS chip. Because that was the problem.
It's with my unpopular opinion that I hope AM5 supports Ryzen 6000 series, and that's it.
Yeah.
Sorry, X670.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I have interesting tidbits about new chipsets.
Okay. Right.
Yes.
I'm just going to quickly scan through the chat. And
Absolutely.
Then we'll go to that. Let's see. Daz drops in. Hi guys, it's Liam. Still loving your gaming PC. Rad. What's up, Liam? How's it going? I am working on the video. It is going to be a thing.
It will exist. You will become a YouTube sensation.
Well, you will be featured in the video. It's just me trying to figure out how to make a video out of a source footage with no usable audio. It's an interesting challenge for me, and I keep just doing a bit of it and then going, oh no, I'm done with this for a bit more, which is why it hasn't been done yet. But hello, I hope you're enjoying. Much appreciated. So yeah. Also, Wild Floorland comes in with the regarding graphics cards and sending it to someone who knows what the heck they're talking about. That's called Northbridge Fix Repair. Oof. There's been some shade between Wild Floorlamp and Northbridge Fix lately.
Is he somewhat unhappy with Northridge?
Yeah. Northridge is... I have not watched enough of his content to formulate an opinion, but people whose opinions I value tell me he's a cowboy. Basically. And a lot of stuff he's doing, he's kind of just doing blind fixes and getting lucky often. But also when you do that, he's also doing a lot of repairs where he's just like, oh, this board is dead and can't be fixed. And it's like, no, it could be fixed, but then you killed it because you did a blind fix without understanding what you were doing. This is hearsay, though, so I'm going to say no more than that. So, yeah. I'm not going to chime in on that because I haven't watched enough of the content. I'm kind of interested because I like to know who's about and who to say, probably not a good role model or not. But I need to actually inform myself of that situation. So yes. And, Michael, I'm going to say Michael, asked what kind of oscilloscope do I use? As Mr. Guru has said, I don't do in-depth stuff enough to require scoping. I do want to get one at one point because this is all stuff that I want to look into and learn at some point. I'm just not there yet.
The message has changed.
Different
BIOS version, they've just said an operating system wasn't found.
Fair enough.
As opposed to boot device not found.
Yeah.
Because boot device not found is functionally inaccurate.
Yes.
Because there is a bootable device. Or should I say there is a device that could be booted from, were there an operating system.
That's interesting that they bothered to change that message.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they bothered to change that message.
Just to make the language accurate, I guess, as well. Will he now turn off? It turned off! It did it properly!
Hurrah!
Operation successful. I don't know how much I like this being passive. Given it's not been doing anything.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I like it being passive, given that it's that hot doing nothing.
I mean, if you can hold it with your hand, then it's less than 50 degrees.
Oh, yeah, but just the fact of...
Yeah.
It hasn't needed to come out of 2D mode.
Yeah. But then on the flip side, though, like, the distance between offload and onload is probably about 5 watts of power for that GPU, so... Maybe. Yeah. Let's see. Urgent Own said, you gained some value from his video. Yeah. Is it interesting that every fix is either a shorted cap or a MOSFET or connector replacement? Yeah, absolutely that. And in a way, sometimes my videos are the same thing. I tend to show a lot of bad caps because that's the stuff that I get wins on and such. But I don't know. Perhaps the difference is that I don't pretend to be any better than that. Whereas Northridge certainly puts on airs of being a repair superstar, where I think the implication is that he's actually not actually any better than effectively me. You know, because like I can find shorted capacitors. That's not difficult once you get into this. But the difference is I don't claim to be any better than that. So I don't know. But again, this is speculation, so I shall move on.
Stay.
Let's see. What were we going to talk about? And that I said, oh, I'm going to talk about this, but catch up on chat first.
The fact that I said I had tidbits about the new
Oh yes, tidbits about new chipsets. That sounds interesting, and I don't know about that. Tell me about these new chipset tidbits.
For AM5, for the Ryzen 6000 series, 7000 series, desktop is going to be 7000 series, I believe.
Are they skipping 6000 on desktop?
On desktop, yes, I believe so. I believe it's going to be Ryzen 7000 for desktop.
Fair enough.
I haven't actually seen that confirmed anywhere, but that I recall. But something is telling me that.
Yeah.
The chipsets, there is going to be B650, X670, and X670E. The E standing for extreme.
Interesting.
Yes. What the difference is, as far as we can tell, is to do with the connectivity speeds. So basically, X570E might also have 2 chipsets on the motherboards. Because for X570E, I believe it is a requirement for it to be X670E for every single PCI slot to be PCIe Gen 5.
Ah. Yeah.
And then for all of the USB to be USB 3 super speeds and stuff like that. So for all of the USB to be very high speed USB and stuff like that. Then the normal X670 boards are going to be the non-E with probably a single chipset.
And what we typically see on mid-range boards today.
Yeah, and it's going to be PCIe Gen 5 to the first M.2, the CPU M.2.
Yeah.
PCIe 16 slot will be Gen 5 on the CPU. The chipset can be Gen 5, Gen 4, Gen 3.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah, that is the latest that I've heard on that, which I thought was quite interesting. But also just the fact of dual chipsets.
Yeah, I wonder how necessary a lot of that is.
Apparently, it's exceedingly necessary for the trace length for PCIe Gen 5.
Yeah.
Because they apparently need to move it very close to the slots.
That makes sense, I guess. Yeah, because when you said that there was going to be an extreme chipset, I thought this was going to be more of a symbolic thing, where the idea is that you would separate boards that are supposed to be a balanced board that's pretty good at everything, and then an extreme board where it's a case of, cool, we're not going to bother with display output on this board, we're not going to bother with all of the stuff that balanced boards would have that someone who owns this board clearly doesn't care about, and we're going to focus it on extreme performance, when actually it's more focused on extreme PCIe.
Yeah,
and
apparently
that seems odd to me, because extreme PCIe is something that everyone raves about, but I don't see anyone who actually needs.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a reason why no one cares that half of your PCI Express slots, even on this Crosshair 8 motherboard, the lower PCI Express slot is not a 16 slot.
It's not electrically.
Yeah.
It's not electrically a 16X, and then that one's a 1 times.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a top-end motherboard. You know, so it's a case of, this clearly proves that no one cares about getting 16 lanes to the lower PCI Express slot. You know, so you know that's the implication, is that they're sort of suggesting that there's a big requirement, or there's a big demand to have extreme PCI Express performance. I'm like, but who cares?
I believe it's going to be because we're not going to see a 7000 series Threadripper.
Yeah.
For a very long time. So it's basically making those workstation boards.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Interesting.
So yeah, that's what I assume based off of the bits that I have seen, is that's why they're doing it, because we're not going to see a Threadripper platform alongside it.
But yeah, by extension,
we've only seen the Zen 3 Threadripper.
Yeah. And that was recently,
this year.
Yeah. I question whether we need PCI Express Gen 5 as well, because we've hardly got anything using PCI Express Gen 4. So it's a case of, why are we now going to rush and break our backs on dual chipset motherboards for ridiculous PCI Express Gen 5 performance, which nothing actually needs, because we hardly have anything using Gen 4 yet either. So I don't know. But then I suppose
I think also partially because it's a workstation board.
Yeah, I was going to say. I suppose the response to that is then don't buy an X670E. Then Graham, buy an X670 vanilla.
Yeah.
If you don't need it, then don't buy it.
Yeah.
However, someone does want that, and they can buy that. It's like fair enough. Yeah,
I think
point taken.
that's kind of
something about Halo products.
Yeah, I think that's partially what it is. It's designed to kind of fit in the workstation kind of.
See you soon, Katrina. Thanks for dropping by. Happy birthday again.
Yes, to fit in the kind of the slightly lower tier workstation one, the one that requires all of the connectivity, but doesn't require 64 cores.
Yeah.
Because also apparently Zen 5 is going to bring 50% more cores again.
Oof. Yeah.
So obviously there, if you're going 50% on 16, you're at 24, aren't you? And 24 cores, assuming they're, 69 or a 7950X with 24 cores is going to be good enough as a workstation machine for the vast majority of tasks.
Yes.
And then they're going to shepherd you towards server.
Yeah.
I'd guess.
And I suppose if you've got, because like one of the only other points of going to Threadripper is to get a lot of PCI Express lanes. But if you have PCI Express Gen 5 and you can cram X bajillion gigabytes down one PCI Express lane anyway, because you're at Gen 5 speeds, then you don't actually need a lot of lanes because each lane is so fast.
In theory, so presuming they've got switches and muxes and whatever they're called on the actual board, so you can take a single PCIe Gen 5 lane out of the CPU and make it two PCIe Gen 4 lanes.
Yeah.
So devices that are only PCIe Gen 4 can still access it their full PCIe 4 speed, just with fewer lanes, because the motherboard is handling the muxing.
Yeah.
Then that makes sense, but...
Quentin Stephen points out, Gen 5 means you can put a 10 gigabit Ethernet card in a 1X slot.
Yeah.
Which is pretty bonkers.
Yeah. But as long as that NIC has a PCIe 5 connector.
And that'll be the difficult.
If it's PCIe 4, it will only run at half of the speed of that slot, because you can't make up the lanes in the slot. You have to mux it.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm hoping that's what the X670E will have. It will be PCIe 5 to the slot, but effectively muxed or switched or whatever the correct naming is, so that I can plug in a 16X PCIe 4 device into a PCIe 5x8 slot, and it run at PCIe 4x16, because it's electrically by 16, but the actual connection speed out of the slot is a Gen 5x8. So actually do that, because then that would make sense. But if boards aren't doing that, then it doesn't particularly make sense. But yeah. Interesting all the same.
Yeah. We'll see how it pans out then, I guess. Yeah.
But yes, I just thought it interesting.
Very well.
There's going to be a higher tier than the X something 70.
Yeah. Cool. Right. What do you seek?
Oh, BIOS for this one as well.
BIOS
please.
for this one as well now. Okay. Righto. Yeah. Okay. Acquiring BIOS. Stand by.
Yeah.
Right. This is a Crosshair 8. Hero Wi-Fi, I assume.
Where's the box gone? There's the box. Maybe? No, Crosshair 8 Extreme.
Crosshair 8 Extreme. Looks more like it. Support.
I need to find out how much a DimDock 2 card costs as well, just because if they're not expensive on their own, then that's kind of cool just to be able to stick one in there.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that they're going to be like, oh yes, this component is £600. Because of course it is. Oh, interesting. That's a 2022 dated BIOS. But the one we were flashing on, that was a 2021 dated one.
No. That was 2022 as well.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, because whilst it was flashing, it said it was 2021.
Oh, wait. Yeah, to be confirmed. I was looking at the date modified just then, so I refuse to answer that question on account that I don't know.
You know nothing. Du hablas nada.
Huh.
Thank you.
Done.
Yes. I wonder if it will also mean that we'll get USB 4.
Hopefully, yes. I'd like USB 4 to roll out as mainstream.
I would also like USB 3's ridiculous naming scheme to
go away. Yeah.
I cannot believe how ridiculous the naming scheme is.
This is kind of why I want USB 4 to roll out, because USB 4 is a case of USB 4 just does everything. It just does everything. It's Type-C, and it has a naming convention that makes sense.
Maybe, hopefully, so far.
So yeah, so long as they stick to it, because it's just
need
USB 4 this speed.
All we need is the IF to not randomly have a fit and go, do you know what we need to do? Instead of calling it USB 3, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, call it USB 3.2, USB 3.2 Gen 2, USB 3.2 Gen 2 2x2. Okay, what speed is USB 3.2 Gen 2?
I'm sure.
I think it's 10 megabit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Gigabit even?
I actually don't know.
No.
I have no comprehension.
Also, may I have the thingy?
Maybe. No. You may not. Have we posted?
Oh,
there it goes.
Delete. Please enter the BIOS recovery.
Wild Floor Lamp says USB 4.1 Super 4X Gen 3.7 Plus. Don't give them ideas, man. They might be watching.
Genuinely.
They might be watching.
Not.
Yeah.
EZ Flash.
Let's see. JE earlier on said, do 3D cards even need PCI Express 4? My RTX 2080 runs fine 8X PCIe 3 slot. Have you tested it to see how well it runs in PCIe 3 8X versus 16X? Because I'll be surprised if you're not dropping some performance by being 8X at PCIe 3 Gen 3.
By 3. Hurrah. Hurrah.
God, I'm getting confused now as well. I'll be surprised if you're not dropping performance being at 8X on a 2080. There have been times where it's mattered and times where it hasn't mattered. But I certainly think that for PCI Express Gen 3, I think it does actually matter. But I have not tested it, though.
I can't remember what it was that someone was testing with, which card it was. But going from PCIe Gen 4 by 16 to PCIe 3 by 16 gave a performance difference. But going to PCIe Gen 4 by 8, which is the same bandwidth, didn't have a performance difference, which inferred that it was actually a PCIe generation performance difference as opposed to a bandwidth performance difference.
Oh, interesting.
For that one card.
Yeah.
But then there's also been someone who's very much shown that going from X16 to XA gave like 5% performance regression on like a 3090 or something.
Yeah.
So whilst it's 5%, it's still 5%.
That's right. So yeah, it potentially very sensitive to what test you're running as well then, which is the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is annoying because that makes it very difficult to test for unless you are very...
fastidious.
Yes, unless you're very good at running tests. Because for me, I'm just like, oh, part of me is kind of tempted to put that to the test. But like my idea of testing that would just run up 3D Mark and a couple of other tests kind of thing. But yeah, obviously you'd have to run a whole suite of tests to see which kind of things actually trip it up. So yeah, interesting.
It's also a case of, to a degree, moving consumers onto PCIe Gen 4 and Gen 5 only and getting rid of Gen 3 will make it cheaper. effectively overall than keeping consumers on Gen 3.
Yes.
Because if it's only consumers in the DIY space on Gen 3, that's 1% of 1% of the market. And to keep an entire thing open for that, entire section of foundry and development and so on, will be more expensive. But yes, at the same time, I understand the comment of obviously the fact of part of the reason why motherboards are at the prices they are is because of the extra engineering and layer counts and so on required for the signal integrity for PCIe Gen 4 and Gen 5.
Yes, that's
So
the difficulty.
It swings both ways.
Yeah. Cecilia from Poland says, had about a 10% drop in performance on 8X compared to 16X. This is Gen 3 on a Z270 with a GTX 1070. I'm surprised by that one.
It depends. Yeah, again, I think it depends on application.
Yeah.
Because as proven by the miners, running on PCIe Gen 3 by 1 on a GPU makes no difference whatsoever when you're shuffling a few hundred kilobytes every couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Obviously, that makes no difference. If you can load up the entirety of the card's memory in one go, you run a whole bunch of operations on that, you get an output that's a few kilobytes in size, that goes over the bus, you reload a couple of bits over the bus, X1 makes no difference. Hence all the mining boards being X1 slots.
Yeah.
But it has been proven for folding at home that the X8, X16, X4, etc. makes a difference.
Yeah. Ducanon says, much to change, no graphics card is using anything from PCI Express 4 even, never mind PCI Express 5. Yeah, well, that's the thing. In terms of actual bandwidth, no, I agree. A lot of it does come down to lane counts as well. For example, what the AMD 6500 is a PCI Express Gen 4 8X card.
No, it's by 4.
Oh, by 4?
Yeah, it's by 4.
Ugh.
Which is why it has such a problem in PCIe 3.
That's even more gross. Yeah, okay, yeah.
That is why it has the problem.
Yeah.
Because it is only by 4, and it's only got 4 gigs of RAM.
Yeah. But yeah, my point being, so the interest point there is that AMD are trying to save costs by utilizing a newer generation of PCI Express to only require to have a lower lane count. So it's not so much about raw bandwidth, but it's the potential to save money by not needing as many lanes because the individual lanes are faster. But
in theory, the actual cost is going to be very small.
Yeah. Now this isn't particularly of interest to enthusiasts, but it is interesting from a technology perspective because obviously that is potentially useful to the OEM space. So it doesn't mean that PCI Express Gen 4 and 5 are a waste of time. It just means that it's not something that we as enthusiasts would find useful as such.
Yeah, it's also the case that obviously GPUs are going to get faster.
Yeah.
The rumours are that the RDNA 3 is going to give 100% performance increase.
That's true, and if we're seeing those kind of performance,
if we're seeing a doubling of rasterization performance, it stands to reason then that the bandwidth requirements will go up. Not because there is more data to move around, but the time scale on which you have to move that data is smaller.
Yeah.
Which is also a case of it's not a continuous operation thing. It's not a case of you continuously need 400 gigabits per second all of the time.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to shift that 2 gigabyte texture in 1 millisecond.
Yeah.
Because you have a 10 millisecond render window, so you need to move that entire texture in 1 millisecond.
Yeah.
So you have 9 milliseconds to operate on, kind of thing. So like the peak bandwidth isn't so much as a continuous operation and things like that. It's to be able to shove stuff into memory fast enough that you don't get a sudden lurch because a frame took 33 milliseconds as opposed to 10 because of memory load.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So it's...
Because likewise also, like the next epoch in gaming is that we've sort of been looking for, and what the PS5 was really gunning at is the removal of the loading screen. And that's kind of a big deal. because obviously shortening load times by a couple of seconds at a time, no one really cares. But actually removing the load screen altogether, that's kind of a big deal, because now instead of having less and less time to do your load screen, you're now being told, no, you now have to do it in real time, which is a completely different animal.
Yeah.
So suddenly, again, that super high bandwidth is not so much something that we need from a processing perspective, but just a case of, well, if you want to shunt a level's worth of textures into the graphics card at a moment's notice, that's suddenly something that we will require. So yeah, it's difficult to quantify how we need these newer PCI Express generations right now, but it's easy to come up with reasons as to why there's something that we could use in the future. It's something that will make these desirable things like no loading screens possible. So yeah.
Oh, also, I found on my X570S board the memory controller clock speed divider setting in the AMD overclocking settings.
Yeah.
So I'm just seeing if I can actually find them on this
board.
board.
Oh yeah, because
we had the issue where we set the setting and then it didn't do anything.
Yeah. Last week we were trying to start messing around with memory timings on this board, and we could not find any of the things that we needed, and it was very disappointing and a very dull end to the stream. So yes. Have you found them now?
No.
Excellent. Outstanding.
Can we have both on?
Yep.
I mean, we can have both on. I mean, can we see both at the same time, is what I meant to say.
That can be arranged, I think, if I can find another long HDMI, then yes.
Hold on. I found it. There it is. It's right there.
Excellent.
So,
XFR enhancement.
you go to Advanced, AMD CBS, NBIO Common Options, XFR Enhancement, UCLK DIV1 mode.
Sure. But now here's the thing. However, now if you switch that on, does it actually work?
No idea. Not a clue. But I'm also not that bothered.
Understandable. Fair enough.
Wait, where did I say it was? I said it was CBS, NBIO, XFR, that. Yeah. I'm going to set that all the same.
Yeah.
There you go. Cool.
Excellent. Right, what's next?
Lovely.
What do we need?
I require a Ubuntu Iso.
A Ubuntu Iso.
Yes. We also need to see which version is the LTS.
Okay. Right. We're going to do a Linux, everyone. Ubuntu LTS.
Yes. I'm presuming it's going to be the 2021-04 one.
2204.
Or 2022. Yes.
Yep. LTS Jammy Jellyfish.
Hell yeah.
Download.
Because I had the issue there. I apparently downloaded like the 2020.10 one, and that's the short-term support one. And having automatic updates turned on doesn't actually automatically update.
Oh.
And will allow an OS to go out of support with no notifications.
Oh. Fair enough.
And like, I can understand if I had specifically disabled updates that it did nothing and told me nothing. But having updates turned on and set to automatic, not giving me a notification, I was just kind of like, really?
Yeah. Fair enough.
Right. Yeah, no notification.
5-minute wait to download that. Topic suggestion, TPM and all the problems that may occur. What if my Movo dies or CPU with TPM, or I want to change SSD? Are there options to store keys? That is what backup keys are for.
That is what your backups are for. That is what assigning...
Yeah.
That is also what assigning your BitLocker key to your Microsoft account for Windows is for.
A, back up your data, and B, also, when you are encrypted with something like TPM, so and if you're running Windows, you're going to be using BitLocker. When you turn on BitLocker, it will generate recovery keys. and it will give you like 5 different ways in which you can save those recovery keys somewhere else.
Yeah. You can also literally from that screen go print, and it will print an A4 sheet with the 2 different recovery keys on.
Yeah. So you save those recovery keys and you keep them somewhere safe. And from there, you can then access your data if you have lost access to it because TPM has screwed up or something like that. And that's literally the solution to that problem.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The options on there is to save it as a file, if I remember correctly. Save it as an actual special BitLocker file. To save it as a PDF, so you can just human read it. To print it, and to sync it into your Microsoft account.
Yeah.
So the Microsoft setup, the Windows installer, plus also the recovery environment, can connect to the internet. You can sign into your Microsoft account, and it will automatically unlock the drive.
Yeah. BitLocker is really slick.
BitLocker is really, really slick.
BitLocker is something which
Yeah.
When I first encountered it, I hated it. I was like, oh God, everything is encrypted. This makes my life really hard. And then every time I've encountered it since then, I'm just like, oh, look at that. They have contingencies in place for every scenario that I can come up with.
Yeah.
You know.
The only one I can think of is ultimately gross end user negligence.
Yeah.
Not keeping a hold of the actual physical printed backup keys you have.
Yeah.
Not knowing your password for your Microsoft account and not saving the file somewhere else.
Yeah, the two times I've encountered issues are, one of them was the last time I saw it, where BitLocker had been switched on by a third-party repair shop that had not given the recovery keys to the user, and that just makes that third-party repair shop gross negligent. Thankfully, when the user then contacted them again, they then supplied the keys that they had saved somewhere, and I was like, why didn't you give them to the customer in the first place, you f***ing idiot? But it's fine.
Also, why are you turning on BitLocker on other people's devices unless that is the job they have booked you for? At which time you go through the recovery for the Microsoft account, the printing of the physical keys, and the saving of the backup.
Yes.
Because turning on BitLocker when it's a client job is an educational process as well.
At any rate,
sorry.
Thankfully, the keys were not lost, so we were able to sort that out. The only other instance I've encountered is OEM laptops, where there's a weird condition. I don't know what you would call it, where you can get OEM computers with Home Edition Windows on, but are BitLockered out the factory.
Yes. BitLocker does not require TPM.
Yes. And in that instance, I have seen it where it's BitLockered, but the customer doesn't have the recovery keys because it was BitLockered before they logged in, because it was BitLockered out the factory kind of thing. And it's been in a really odd state. And so the drive is BitLockered, but also it's not locked with a password, and it's a bit strange. And I have seen that on several occasions, and when I see that, I just switch off BitLocker, because I'm like, this is not a useful implementation of BitLocker right now. I'm just going to switch this off and decode the hard drive, because someone's going to lose their data with it set up like this.
Yeah, I guess the only different thing to do would be to link it to their Microsoft account.
Yeah.
Because that will save the keys into the account.
Exactly, and if you do that, you're safe.
Yeah.
But in this instance, the keys were not saved in the account either, so it hadn't done that automatically, and it was all a bit weird. And I've seen that on more than one occasion.
The out-of-box experience, when you sign into a Microsoft account, in my opinion, should then grab those keys and go, BitLocker is enabled, your data is therefore secure, or something like that. A user-friendly message, but starting with the technical name of the thing that is happening. BitLocker is enabled. Your recovery keys are synced to your Microsoft account. This means that your data is secure and it is able to be recovered with your Microsoft account, or something like that. So it explains to the user what it is, but also uses the technical words so they can go to someone who knows about this stuff and actually trigger the person going, oh, I know what you're on about. You mentioned BitLocker, you mentioned recovery. And kind of...
Wild Floor Lamp has just said it's called BitLocker Drive Encryption for OEMs, as it's entirely breakable by professional data recovery software and hardware. So
cool.
yeah, it seems to be it seems to be a very bad implementation of BitLocker that just seems to be on for scoring brownie points with someone. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because someone else mentioned earlier up that BitLocker is on professional Windows only, and it's just like, yeah. However, it can very much be switched on home editions in a really odd way.
Yeah. Has BitLocker been compromised?
I don't know.
So if you just have the hard drive that is BitLocker encrypted, can you unencrypt that with modern data recovery tools?
Yeah, that's
my question for FloorLamp.
I was going to say, I feel like that's something that FloorLamp might know. Is FloorLamp, has BitLocker been pwned, basically?
Because I don't think it is when you only have the drive.
That's what I thought.
I know it has been pwned when you have the device and the device is unlocked.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Because you can pull the key straight off of a TPM because it's not encrypted.
Yeah.
And also the SPI bus is not encrypted.
Yeah, you can
just pull that off.
Yeah.
But obviously you need the full device in an unlockable state.
Yeah. And that's, again, what FloorLamp has just said. You can break TPM back to BitLocker when the machine boots. You can man in the middle it.
But you obviously physically need the machine.
Yeah.
And also man in the middling BitLocker isn't something that your average even repair shop is going to be able to do.
Quite so, yeah. So again, we're getting into the realms of threat profiles now. So
yeah, absolutely. But that was a point for can I recover this? You know, if the recovery keys have been lost, but I have physical access to the device, is it theoretically possible for me to unravel that situation?
Yeah.
Because the device still functions, but I do not have recovery.
Yeah.
You can, in theory, break it like that as well.
Yeah. Bald says, thank you for the £2, by the way. How many of your customers back up and save keys? If your implication is, oh, yeah, but who actually backs up their keys? I entirely agree, which is one of the reasons why I still don't really push BitLocker. However, the thing is that when you switch on BitLocker, it will say, log into your Microsoft account. We are backing up your keys to your Microsoft account, and it will be done for you.
Yeah.
We will not allow you to do this. We are doing it for you.
Yeah. So
the customer doesn't have to back up their keys because it is forcibly done by Microsoft when you switch on BitLocker. Because this is something that it does happen, and it does work out that way. Because when I've had customers come in with BitLocker devices that have needed salvaging, and I say, this is BitLockered, I need your Microsoft account password. And I log onto their Microsoft account on my laptop, and I go to the recovery section, and lo and behold, there are the decryption keys for their device. And I can then smash that into my workstation and unlock their hard drive. The system works.
Yeah, and the best thing is it will list all of the recovery keys on there for ages.
It's really good. It is a very sweet system.
And it works well when you have multiple devices tied to that account as well.
Yeah. As I say, the only exception to that is weird scenarios like BitLocker for OEMs, where where BitLocker may have been switched on before the customer logged in during out-of-box experience, and therefore you can fall into this weird state where you're BitLockered but also you're not, and that's the weird state, and that's the one I don't like and why I switch it off on site, because that seems to be asking for trouble to me.
Yeah.
So catching up on Super Chats again. Turnit Gaming, thank you very much for the £10. Afternoon, lads. Do you think the Seagate expansion cards for the Xbox Series X and S are expensive? Hang on a sec, my throat's drying up.
Do I think they're expensive? Yes, I do think they're expensive. Do I reckon they'll get cheaper over time? Yes, absolutely. Do I think they'll become meaningfully cheaper over time? No. Basically, they are SSDs on a little card that you plug into the special expansion bay on the Xbox. They are too expensive for what they are, but at the same time, they are turning an SSD into a memory card to that level of commodity of user installation. And there's always a price for that.
Yeah.
So,
and hopefully, even though it's more expensive than an SSD should be, I don't know how much they cost, but hopefully they're not egregious. Like, for example,
I think
Xbox...
it's like £200 for the 500 gig version.
Ooh.
Last time I looked.
That's
which
not
is
great.
Horrifying.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I remember when the Xbox 360 was mainstream, and the Xbox 360 hard drives, the modules for those were eye-wateringly expensive for the actual capacity you were getting. and they had just bog standard 2.5-inch hard drives in them. So it's just
Yeah.
like, this wasn't even exotic. It was just a hard
Yeah.
drive in a box with a 10 times markup on it,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
If there'd been 7,200 drives with a half decent amount of cache on them, you'd have
Maybe.
been like, fine, at least it's not a trash hard drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of thing. But it was just the fact of just, why? Also, excuse me.
Yes.
Oh, dear.
Oops, I just killed your gain completely.
Oh no! I must speak like this now!
Shush! Right. Don't do that again because your gain is back on now. I've just knocked you down slightly because you were a little bit louder than you were last week.
Yes,
so yes,
I have significantly more energy this week.
Yes.
Last week I was so deflated.
Oh, we were both a bit low last week, weren't we?
Dear. It was
how
also,
it be
also the
sometimes,
week before. I was just kind of, I am here, I am present, I can speak fine, but oh boy.
Yeah, you can't bring the energy every week, can you? That's the way.
No,
that's the thing. When you do the show every week, and we've got to come up with something to do and think about and talk about every week, streaming is hard, man.
Yeah,
it's hard. So yeah. Right, I'm going to back read a little bit. So
it was like yesterday afternoon with Sling. We were just together doing stuff. And I went from dead, 0 energy to actually probably classifiable as a state of mania.
Fair enough.
My energy went from here to here plus some. It was just like, oh boy. I think the comment he made was because I took a phone call and had to be professional. Was like, I was amazed how you instantly switched from being completely deranged and utterly out of it to entirely professional, calm, and rational.
Yeah. Gross. Has Graham overclocked Caradog's vocal cords? I've overclocked it by numerous decibels.
Maybe sometimes.
Cool. Right, catching up on the chat with the end of the BitLocker talk. Let's see. So Sleepwalker said, I've seen that OEM BitLocker implementation, and Microsoft say you need to contact the OEM for further support. That's terrible, Muriel.
But
so, yeah,
understandable because they're like,
it's nothing to do with us. We didn't turn that on. Yeah. However, yeah, Mr. Guru said if you buy an OEM PC with BitLocker enabled, simply format and reinstall the way you want it. Or failing that, BitLocker actually has really good command line support that also works on home editions of Windows. So it is the command is BDE admin, I think.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, or is BDE admin? I think it's BDE admin, all one word. So open up a PowerShell, BDE admin, space /?, and it will come up with all of the commands you can do. And you can literally do BDE admin off C:, and that basically just says switch off BitLocker on C drive. And because there's no password or encryption key set up, as long as you're logged onto the computer, you can do that. You can't do that from an offline scenario. So if you pull the hard drive and put it into another computer, you will need the decryption key.
Yeah, but just
assuming
user login only.
Yeah, that's
being
right.
Able to do that.
User login only.
Amazing.
Yeah, user login only. You can just switch it off, and that will just decrypt the drive. And as I say, I do that on site when I see it.
I presume it has to be an admin account. Because I presume
probably,
it's an elevated command.
But
yeah. Other than that,
manage BDE. That's the one.
So question with that, if you've lost access to the account, can you? No, you can't.
If it's a Microsoft account, then you
can recover the account.
You could recover the account through Microsoft account recovery methods. If it's not a Microsoft account, if it's a local account, I think you're screwed. Yeah, because
you can't also make another account. Because you can't modify the.
I was going to say because all the methods that I know of bypassing local user account, because local user account passwords are very vulnerable to bypass. However,
with physical access,
all of them require access to the drive, and if the drive is encrypted, then you can't do any of the bypasses.
Yeah.
because the two usual ones are either Pogo Stick, which just replaces the password hashes. However, Pogo Stick is very unreliable these days. I was trying to use it earlier on today, and it's very hit and miss. Or the other method is the classic, you replace utilman.exe with command.exe. So on the login screen, you click the once you've done that on the login screen, you click the accessibility options, and it pops up with an elevated command prompt. And now, obviously, you can start editing user accounts. Oh, thank you. Here they come, everyone. Do it, Caradog. Hide user in this channel. Done.
I just like the fact that you could misclick by a single option and make them an admin.
Yes.
Like, really?
Yeah.
Really, YouTube?
Gross. Let's see. HP want to charge for mismanaged BitLocker support, as they call it. Oh, no! Oh, that's...
I mean, that sounds precisely like HP.
Yeah. Hey, I'm fairly certain HPs are the computers I see mostly with this OEM BitLocker on.
They've got to make their money somewhere.
Yeah. On the flip side, though, I don't think that's saying much, because obviously it's easy to say sort of, oh, I see this on HPs all the time, and also it's the same reason why, you know, HPs are really common. Well, that's what PC World stock in the UK, so you're going to see it more often.
Yeah.
Offline NT is the other Windows password wiper. I need to look that up because I need a reliable one. Because as I say, I've been using Pogo Stick for years, but Pogo Stick has just become increasingly more unreliable on modern systems, and now it absolutely fails more often than it succeeds. It's mainly just an issue with getting the computer to boot into it. The actual exploit it's using still works just fine, and is probably the same as what Offline NT is doing. But yeah, just the actual Pogo Stick boot thing doesn't work. Windows Login Unlocker should work with pretty much everything. Yeah, I'll have to look both of these up and update my toolkit. I don't change stuff in my toolkit unless I have a reason to. But that's the thing, I have a reason to need a new one because Pogo Stick doesn't work anymore. Okay, right, this has worked. So I need Rufus. Stand by, I'm going to Rufus this flash drive. Toolkit.
Stand by, I'm going to roofie this tool drive. Hold on a minute.
That's something else. Oh.
It gets you unlimited access? Something anyway, moving swiftly on, so yes.
Rufus this drive.
Linux installation.
Where the Jeff... There we go, there's Rufus. I was going to say, how do I not have Rufus anywhere? Okay, right. Select ISO. Where did I even down? Good, on here, right. No. Oh, that'll do.
There you go. Also, because I've been reminded by the fact I've looked at the news channel, if you are in the Discord server and you wish to be notified when we go live by the bot pinging you with the YouTube notification ping roll, please react to the message saying that we have gone live. I will then manually assign the role. At some point, we will be adding a bot which automatically does this. This has been your PSA.
Cool. There we go. So I was having to read notification messages carefully because I'm running an old version of Rufus and it needed to download some updates. Right. Okay, Rufusing is underway. Writing master boot record.
There you go.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't have the latest Rufus version, but that's why I was reading the messages carefully because it said, oh, this is using Grub 306 and this version of Rufus only has 302 on it or something like that. However, it said click yes to connect to the internet to download the latest Grub files. So I said, cool, yes, do that. And it has updated, so we're all good.
That's cool. I use Universal USB something. UUF? I can't remember what it's called.
Fair enough. I can't remember how I came across Rufus. It just hasn't failed me yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rufus is also really good because it tells you when there's something that might be wrong with what you're trying to do. And 9 times out of 10, it's just like, if you click yes, I'll just go and get what you're missing. And I'm like, cool, yes. And it just goes and get whatever it is it says it doesn't have.
It's also, Rufus explicitly supports formatting pen drives into more than one partition, doesn't it?
I believe so, yes.
Where most stuff doesn't.
Yeah. I've not tried it before.
You can have 2 ISOs and stuff.
Yeah. It's something that I have been looking into because for ages I've been wanting to make multiple versions of Windows on one flash drive and stuff like that, which is very difficult to do because it's very difficult to partition pen drives. But I haven't needed it badly enough to actually get it done. It's part of
the reason why I was considering making a toolkit SSD. So I was just like, look how easy it is to format this SSD.
Yes. Turnip Gaming with another £10. Thank you very much. How are you doing again? The last time I checked, the Seagate expansion cards price for 512 for 130.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
1 terabyte for 200. 2 terabytes for 385. Yeah, so that's like twice the price of the equivalent SSD. And it's just like,
roughly, yeah.
That's rough, but that's not egregious. Like, if it had been like £200 for 512 gigs or something like that, I'd be like,
Yeah, which is what I said it was, because that's what I remembered the price being.
So it's just like...
someone being like, it's on special offer for only 180 quid. And I was just like, excuse me?
Yeah. This is rough, but this is for an SSD that has been packaged into a device where you can literally just go, bam, into the front of the console, and it works, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, for what you're getting, that's how much that's going to cost. And you're damn right they're going to want to make a profit on that.
Yeah.
You know,
because they're not making profit on the consoles.
Yeah, exactly that. So it's like, when, gigabyte for gigabyte, that's rough. But for the product that you're actually purchasing, fine. If you want value, how difficult is it to disassemble the Xbox and just put a bigger internal SSD in it?
You can't.
You can't.
As far as I'm aware, you cannot.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Because the flash chips are soldered. As far as I'm aware.
Because the PS5 has actually got M.2 slots on it, hasn't it?
It's literally got a single bay for you to.
Yeah.
But that bay didn't work for the first 12 months of the PlayStation 5's existence because it needed a special update.
Whatever. Yeah.
But
yeah. It's a bit of a tough pill to swallow though, because the 512 internal storage on the Series S isn't enough for games. Is there a Series S? Is there a 1 terabyte version of the Series S? Because I agree.
There's one version of each console. That's it.
Oh, that's unfortunate because
I'm presuming that next year we might get higher storage versions.
Yeah, because the Series S is like £250.
Yeah,
it's crazy cheap for a brand new gen console.
Yeah.
However, 512 gigs of storage, that ain't enough for games.
Yeah.
Although again, it depends. It's only a problem if you're playing Call of Duty and stuff like that. But I don't know. So yeah, it's a question of, if you already own one, I guess you're saving 200 quid for a 1 terabyte expansion card. Otherwise, if there's a 1 terabyte version of the Series S next year, that'd be cool.
That's what I'm guessing will probably happen, something like that.
Yeah.
Because Microsoft have already come out and said there will not be a mid-generation refresh for cheaper prices, smaller size, faster speeds, etc., a la the Series X or PlayStation Professional.
Yeah. And also, arguably, if they have the expansion cards, then there's now zero need for them to make a bigger base version. If anything, they can just be like, fine, sure, we'll bundle an expansion card with it then.
Yeah. I'm guessing one of those two will happen. Yeah. I'm presuming that they might need to increase the storage size in a couple of years' time, just because the small capacity chips might stop being produced. And they go, fine, it's now a terabyte version or something like that.
That's possible, yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Right, how's that Rufus doing? I need to minimize RDP.
I need to come out of this.
Oh, 98%.
I need to extract myself from the matrix.
It's nearly there.
It's almost happened. Almost. How are you getting on with your royal kludge?
I have no strong opinions at the moment, if I'm honest, because the problem is where I'm using it on the workstation, I'm doing a fairly minor amount of typing there.
Yeah. Did you not take? I thought you took it home.
I did take it home for a weekend, yeah, and then I brought it back into work because ultimately I still want the wireless keyboard I have. Oh yeah, I was going to take it home and keep it at home, and then I was like, oh, the problem is I still need a wireless keyboard on the workbench because I don't want a wired keyboard with a wire hanging across the desk because that's going to be in my way all the time. The reason why I want a wireless keyboard on the workbench is so I can just pick it up and move it out of the way at any moment. So yeah, but I'm still liking it. I'm tempted to buy another one if I'm honest for home.
I still maintain you should go for the Keychron.
Oh yeah, I'll get the key. Yeah, I should get the Keychron in that case.
Because I think the Keychron's cheaper.
Yeah, I need to see if there's a Keychron on Amazon US because I still have lots of Amazon US vouchers to spend. So if I can buy it from Amazon US and import it at not egregious cost, it's basically free to me.
Yeah.
And so I don't mind paying over the books for it either. Like if it ends up costing me £200 instead of £100, that's still fine with me because it's vouchers that I cannot spend otherwise.
Yeah.
For complicated reasons that I won't go into here. But yeah, I'm still enjoying it. But because yeah, I do actually want to build up a Ponzi keyboard, but I feel like I shouldn't start with my master keys. I feel like that's a bad place to start from. Because while it'd be kind of cool to take the master keys to bits and completely refurbish it, I mean, maybe I should do that anyway. Like that's making my life more difficult, but it's also interesting. So yeah. Right, I'm going to pop to the loo super quick. I'll be right back, everyone.
How do I boot override? That's how I boot override. Bed. How does English work? Yes, how do I English? Oh no. Give me the input. Bring me the display. That's also something that's incredibly missing from this crosshair board. Oh no, there is a postcode readout. Never mind. Ignore me! 5F? What is 5F? Come on now. Post, please. How does this board take this long to post? Jesus. Yes, it's a Crosshair 8 Extreme, Jay. Which apparently takes forever to boot, and also doesn't like the pen drive you made. Damn it, Graham. Do the restart? Or not? Fine. Fine. It did not boot off of your pen drive image.
Boo.
Your image was invalid.
Okay.
You'll have to grab a newer version of the thing.
Yes.
Perhaps.
I'll get a newer version of Rufus and do it again.
Yes. Also, I'm surprised by how slow Rufus was, to be honest.
What's the thing that you use again?
I keep do a search for like universal USB.
Universal USB installer?
Yeah, that's the one. That's looking like the right picture. Yes. Yeah, that's the right one. UUI, Universal USB Installer. Yes. Oh yeah.
Download.
Yeah, it's literally that. There we go.
Alright, we're using UUI now.
Oh wait, can I not boot the UEFI version?
Should be able to.
But the card doesn't support UEFI.
Ah.
There we go. That's why.
Okay. Is that just for install? Because that begs the question, is it worth putting a newer graphics card in to set the system up?
We'll try it. I mean, we'll try it.
Yeah. Cool, okay. Do you want to turn it off and I'll grab the 1060? Where is the 1060? I put it something. It's over here.
Ah! Why are you so hot?
Ugh.
Oh, so you have a locking lever. How the fuck do I get... How am I supposed to get to that locking lever by default?
Oh, God.
Like, I can get in there by doing this.
Yeah, that's actually terrible, man.
But, like, what the fuck? You can see how it's been attacked by a screwdriver.
Yeah. That's actually awful. Right. Rufus has been vindicated. The fault lay with...
Be gone. This motherboard has been upgraded.
Soclots. Good. Right. Do you need anything? If not, I shall carry on waffling.
I require the PCIe power.
Very well. Right. How are we doing? Live timer is at 2 hours and 10. Cool.
Oops. This is required.
I think we'll get one of these set up and going, and then we'll wrap up because that will probably take us round to 2.5 hours. Let's see if we've got... Yes, you have posted. You are at the boot screen, so stand by.
Oh.
There it goes. That's not seeing the flash drive. Yeah. Don't consider being a surgeon, Caradog. Oh, you had 50 PS5s and 30 Series X's delivered at work. You think the silicon shortfall is coming back gradually? Yeah. It's probably a bit of both. I think to an extent it's a case of everyone's bought one now. Oh, now we need to upgrade the power supply because of the graphics card. Maybe.
To cause pen drive to not work?
All right, post. You're on the boot screen. Ah, that looks better.
There we go. Right.
Fine.
There we go.
Excellent. Try our install.
Interesting. Yes.
Good. Right, we're on our way.
I'll be back in 2 moments.
Okay. Turnit Gaming comes in with another £10 super chat. Thank you again, my dude. Much appreciated. You can remove the internal SSD on the Series S and X, but they're software locked, so you have to transfer it to the new SSD. Otherwise, the console won't boot, which is a bit weird. So, like, you have to image the old SSD to the new one, kind of deal. Is that the implication there?
That sounds incredibly annoying.
Yeah. Cecilia says, why Ubuntu instead of Kubuntu?
Which is, as far as I was aware, Ubuntu used less CPU when idling at the desktop.
Fair enough.
That is my understanding.
Lighter weight, yeah. And yes, indeed. So, okay, yeah. So you have to image the old one to the new one. So, yeah, that certainly means that's another step to go through. Oh, no.
The trackpad doesn't work.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Let me get you a mouse.
What the hell?
I'm going to get you my Darkfield mouse.
Install. American English, no thanks. Not on this key, not on this one.
None of that American rubbish. I've had very angry comments in my comments section for going, oh, none of that American rubbish, in joking tones. That's legitimately made people angry.
Next. Why do I have to press space
actually,
for next and not enter?
It's probably best that I don't give you this one because I've just remembered why I'm not using this mouse. The left click on it needs replacing.
Oh, you should have told me I could bring all of my switches.
I was going to say, yeah. I do actually want to refurb this mouse and like stick new switches in it. Because at first I was going to be like, oh, I don't care. But this is a Logitech Darkfield. So like this mouse works on glass and stuff like that. And it also works really well on wood and that kind of things with no mouse pad. So it's actually a really good spare mouse to have on hand because it works on literally whatever you put it on.
Oh,
so
now the mouse works. Erase.
So it's actually worth saving this thing.
Next. What is my name?
Oh no.
What?
Did you take your mic off when you went to the bathroom?
I just washed my hands.
Oh, okay. He was just washing his hands. That's fine.
Yes, I also opened the back door because I was like, it is quite warm.
Oh, okay. Yes. No, he wasn't going to the bathroom. He was washing his hands in the kitchen. So that's fine. I think if Caradog had been peeing, we would have heard very different sounds. So. Urgent Oats says, I believe Ubuntu is the lightest version, followed by Xubuntu or Zubuntu. Fan of them both.
Xu? I don't know. What would yes. Isn't yes. That version, I thought it was the Chinese version. I couldn't remember.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What is the name of this computer? This is going to be whoops. Spag 9-CPU 1.
Is crypto now bust?
No.
It's hard to say. The current crypto crash has been caused by the Luna stablecoin getting completely owned. My 30,000 foot understanding of the situation is that someone figured out how to algorithmically game Luna coin, which caused a complete and catastrophic crash of Luna coin. And because that is a stable coin to which many other people were using as a basis for valuing other coins, that then had a knock-on effect that has caused the large-scale drop we've seen in many other places. And because one things were dropping, other things dropped because people were losing faith in the market, and thus the bottom of the market has fallen out. So I don't think that crypto is done because one stable coin caused this, and once people have sort of moved away from that and recovered, then people will start reinvesting in elsewhere, buying the dip and all the rest of it. I think
it
that
does kind of prove the point, though, that it's not particularly viable.
Yes, I was going to say that is my takeaway because, I have to admit, for a moment, I looked at all of this and I was like, should I buy the dip? Because this is a dip. This is a good time to buy in, maybe.
I am strongly considering it because I have the money.
That's just it. Because I'm just
I have the money to buy in and then go, oh, it lost value.
Yeah, exactly that. And
Crikey,
I'm not saying Luna. Don't buy Luna. Luna is dead. Luna is very dead.
I don't know. Only based off of what I've seen, it has recovered value at reasonable speed.
Again, my understanding is that it happened because someone managed to figure out how to actually game it
They figured out a system where you could trade back and forth and gain on each transaction. And obviously, at some point, that then has to tank the value of it.
Purely a case of the very little I've seen of Luna is the fact that the value of Luna went up, has been going back up.
Yeah,
so I'm just interested. Perhaps it was also the fact of I don't know. Did anyone actually demonstrate it working, or was it simply someone reporting that someone has said that?
No idea.
And was it all the whole big, someone has said that, people have said this, multiple people have said this, many sources confirm that it has been said that.
Yeah.
Multiple sources confirm that it has been hacked.
Yeah. No idea is the answer to that. However, on the flip side, though, certainly to go back to the original point that you were going to make is proving the instability of the whole wretched market. Absolutely agreed, and that's probably why I will not buy the dip, because once again, it's one of those things where it's just like, it's a casino. Now, if you've got money to spend at the casino, then stick 100 quid down, and maybe you'll walk away with 200 or 300 quid. But, you know, it's a case of, do I have time to watch the values going up and down like a hawk and cashing out at the right times? No, I don't have time. I have other things to do, and many of those other things that I have to do will make me as much or more money than investing in crypto, you know, like doing work, you know. Even if I put 100 quid into crypto and doubled my money, congratulations, that's a day's work. So yeah, so I think the answer to that is no, but I think it will bounce back. I think there are too many zealots that are invested in it and will just be like, well, I guess we'll go double or nothing now. Like there was that one guy getting memed on Twitter who was all about that Luna coin and just kept investing in it. And when it dropped, he was just like, oh, well, I'm buying the dip now. And then it would drop further. And he'd be like, oh, and it was like, oh my God, guy, just stop. Just stop before you lose your house, you know.
Apparently I have no battery.
Oh, no. So, yeah.
Fancy that.
But the other thing as well is that I'm not an expert with crypto. So something, this is not financial advice. But, yeah. Again, though, with the whole thing, it just kind of proves that the entire thing is a casino. The entire thing is fundamentally unstable. And the bottom of the entire thing could fall out at any moment.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's a case of, it's not a smart investment. It's a casino. You're playing a game. If you are accepting of that, sure, play the game. But if you think you're making smart financial investments, you're not. So yeah. That's my opinion. Oh, is your Wi-Fi not working?
Yeah, because it's Linux.
Yeah. It starts. Here we go. So yes. Also, please ask Caradog, why not Zorin OS? I don't know. Why not Zorin OS?
The hell is Zorin OS?
I don't know either. It's going to be okay. There's not a lot of point in saying, why not this one? There's so many Linux distributions.
Genuinely, I will not use anything that isn't Ubuntu based, purely because there's an awful lot of forums on the internet.
Yeah.
If you're, I don't care.
Yeah, if you're running a Ubuntu derivative, there's going to be a solution that works for you on a forum somewhere.
Other than this Wi-Fi.
Yes. Does it not like that one either?
No.
Okay. We might actually have to get some Ethernet over here then. So why not Temple OS? Yeah.
Definitely not Temple OS.
Right. Casino coin crypto releases tomorrow. Not sure if you're joking or not. Neither would surprise me.
That always confuses me. The fact that it goes, oh yes, to turn off, we must disable your 3D environment first.
Like shutting down the 3D environment. I'm going to go and find some Ethernet.
Very well. I'm going to swap graphics cards and see if it works.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
So I was going to get the Wi-Fi, get the Wi-Fi's, get on the internet, and then I was going to restart. However, Clearly, I'm restarting first. Pull you out. Fine. Away.
I might have to terminate a cable. Oh, what are the chances of my Ethernet cable termination crimps being where I need them to be?
I mean, you have the special fight case.
The special what?
Fight case.
Yes, but I don't think it's going to be in there because I downsized my kit into a smaller place, and I think this has actually just got nothing in it now. Oh, it's got Atoll in it. It's got my backup one in. It's got the crap one in it. Has it got any Ethernet connectors in it? Nope. I've got cage nuts for a rack mount.
Excellent. So we can rack mount something.
Yeah. Oh.
However, also, yes, the OS has booted with this graphics card in there.
Cool.
Fabulous.
Good to know.
Yes. I now need to work out how you change desktop resolution. Preferences. Monitor settings. There we go.
Put that one away.
What resolution is this monitor? Actually, is it
1440 by 900?
Is it though? Oh, that's doing funky things to the capture.
I want to see this before it writes itself.
Right, hold on. 1440 900.
Oh boy. Let me reinitialize the capture. Oh, the capture doesn't like that. I don't know. We should change out this monitor for something else.
We're running it 1080p then.
Yeah.
That was something. There is an additional drivers doodads thingy. Jiggle. There.
This will do. It's not what I'm looking for, but it'll do. It's enough for me to make up an Ethernet cable.
Yes. 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 Download all updates in the background. Oh, wait, hold on. Install updates without... Show new distribution releases, long-term support only. Yes. Fine. Good. Excellent. There are no additional drivers at this time. Understandable. Have a nice day. Very well. At least it recognises both of the USBs. Wait, sorry, does that say 10 gigabit? Oh, yes, it does. Okay.
Yeah. I bloody well hope so for how much that motherboard costs, if I'm honest. Because that's like, what, an £800 motherboard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I conveniently got for the price of a 5950X.
Also,
including
I was going to say,
5950X.
also there was a 5950X in there, yeah.
Very well. Whilst you're doing that, I'm going to install on the other computer.
Very well then.
There's the 1060.
Graham gets his long hose out. Oh no.
Too hot for YouTube. Exclusive chat only.
Oh, see, that's why you got to subscribe on Patreon and get into the exclusive room on the Discord.
Yes. Also for the running in the 90s memes.
Yes. No, so some average tier memes are actually all that's in there. I need to do more, actually. I need to get into the habit of, I want to get into the habit of just every time I've finished editing a video, because when I'm not doing terribly, like I am at the moment, I'm typically finishing a video edit a couple of days before it actually goes live. So I want to make a point of getting it so it's available to supporters for those couple of days. So basically, as soon as I upload it to YouTube, I just stick the link in the Discord and be like, here's the latest video that's coming out on the next release window kind of thing. So you get to see it. It might be 6 hours early, it might be 36 hours early, but whatever, here it is. It's up to you. And the other thing I want to possibly do at some point as well is get into the habit of doing live streams of me editing the videos.
So you started that, didn't you?
I dabbled with it, yeah, I tested the format. But also, I think it works better if I do it as a Discord stage. Because initially when I tried doing it, it was just in voice chat. But the problem is it's in voice chat, people wanted to talk, so it was difficult to work, because I was just like, can we shut up now, because I need to listen to the video editing, you know?
Yeah.
So it would work better as a Discord stage, where it was chat only per se, but people can see the video editing process. So they can see what gets cut and how I put it together and stuff, which is not that exotic, but...
Oh, this isn't going to work. So I plugged in the wrong GPU.
You also haven't plugged in the mouse and keyboard.
Didn't I? Oh, no. I thought that was the first thing I plugged in.
That's definitely something you need, if I'm honest. And it's found it. Not going to complain.
We'll see what happens.
You must have plugged it in just before it scanned drives or something. Right, let's see. Live stream repairs, do it. Absolutely not. It may come as a surprise to you, but I'm not that good at repairs. I'm just doing a half-decent job of making it seem that way.
I'm just very good at editing myself to appear successful.
Yeah. Oh.
Install.
Also, if I did that, wouldn't it hurt my YouTube ratings, Discord views? I don't think in a meaningful way, because I think like the actual number of people who would tune in for that would probably be single digits. The number of people who would actually come in to get the exclusive content, I think it would be a very small number of people, which wouldn't actually have a meaningful impact on anything. So, valid concern, but not something that would actually hurt the numbers in any meaningful way. So what the hell is going on here? Why is this not working? I think I might have cut this too short. It's been a while since I've made Ethernet cables.
Next. Install. It's about to make changes. You certainly hope so. I hope the installer is going to make changes to my
Also, oh my god, these are the worst RJ45 connectors in the history of connectors, perhaps ever.
Oh, yes. Do you know what the exclusive members do get?
What do the exclusive members get?
The 100k subscriber special.
That's a lie. It doesn't exist.
But it could.
It could. It's going to exist soon. I've got two things that I want to. I've got two things that I want to achieve tonight before I go home, which you may or may not stay around for. It's up to you.
I'm certainly going to hang around whilst we do the water cooling, looking at that.
Fair enough. Yes, I was going to say we're going to start looking at Barmy Magician's PC.
Yes.
And I'm going to move that rack from there to there, because there's not actually a lot of work left to do to move that rack. So I'm going to get that done.
There isn't?
No. All of the boxes on the top shelf are just empty boxes. So those will come down in 2 armfuls. The second row, that stuff is some empty boxes and some junk. And then the laptops are going to go somewhere and then go back on there anyway. And the bottom row is e-waste, and I've got some boxes to put the e-waste in now. So
excellent.
It's not actually that much work.
Do you also have a plan to get rid of the e-waste?
No.
Are you going to do that Monday?
No.
Oh, okay. I mean, on a Monday.
Yes.
A future Monday.
A future Monday.
Where are you going?
To where I can find an Ethernet port.
I thought you'd just go straight through the window.
There. No, there's a switch under that one over there.
I see. So, yeah. I thought you'd literally just go straight through the window.
No. I will plug it into a switch because I don't know. I'm going to... There we go.
I'm going to
I'm really, really gonna zig a zig.
I'm gonna Strange noises of disgust and confusion.
I see your mother's maiden name is also.
Yes.
Hello, fellow express owl.
Need to clip words thing and just have that little sequence available.
I do want to make a best of the crows from A Hat in Time, because all of the videos on YouTube for the crows from A Hat in Time are all just really bad capture.
See, this motherboard works. This motherboard has drivers.
Are you selling this motherboard at some point?
No.
You don't want to now because I've left it too late, because now you have a use for it.
I mean, depends. I have to see how good the X471 is.
Yeah. That'd be interesting to do benchmarks, actually.
I also am going to just do that.
Oh, I see. You entering in...
Oh,
yeah.
No, it blobs it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I half expected it to not blob the password because it was a Wi-Fi password.
I've forgotten why I'm walking over here.
To plug something in? To pick something up?
No, I don't. I'm coming back to the set.
Okay.
I've lost control of my life.
Welcome to Quilipper clipboard.
Oh no! Why?
My clipboard is... Sorry, my Quilipboard is quilipped.
Cool whip. Right, are we going capture again? There we go. Right, what are you up to at the moment?
Struggling to get onto internet.
Okay.
Of course, we have the inbuilt IRC client.
To talk to the dozen or so people who still use IRC.
There are dozens of us. Dozens. Sorry. Anyway.
Okay, right.
Okay, Quilipper. We understand you are quilipping. It annoys me. There's a company that is called Acumen, and it is spelt
Acumen. Oh, fine.
It's like, could you not?
Right. When are you going to install like Chrome?
Yeah, at some point.
Okay.
But I'm gonna do this first.
Okay.
Because you said once we have set this up, we're ending. So I thought I'd do the bits that I can actually do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in a desperate hurry. I'm
Join
just
the fold.
just bearing in mind we're at 2 hours 37 minutes.
What is the contrast?
And like 3 hours is the hard limit for a stream, in my opinion.
FH control.
3 hours is the hard limit for a podcast, in my opinion. I'm of the opinion that I try to respect people's time, and for a talk show, once you hit the 3 hour marker, it's kind of getting into the realms of people are sort of thinking, I've got things to do. It's Saturday night. Can I go now? Kind of thing. You know, so I don't know. There's going to be plenty of people in chat who are just like, no, more. But for a lot of people, are probably like sort of, 3 hours, really? You know, so yeah, make of that what you will.
That's not bad. I think they may have updated their package. Because now you can literally just double-click install.
Nice.
Because previously you had to force install through the command line to ignore the requirement mismatches, not the requirements. What are they called?
Dependencies?
Dependencies.
Yeah.
To force ignore the dependencies.
Okay, yeah.
Because the dependencies were there, but they weren't there, kind of thing. The flags were there saying, I require these things, but it operated without it.
Just Linux things?
However, no, just FA8. Just FA8
okay,
things.
Yes. However, now it works by double-clicking. That's it. Linux is ready for the home desktop. Roll it out.
It's also folding now.
Oh, okay. Is that it? It just starts running.
I believe it is now going.
Okay.
Because I just heard some fan kick up. Client dot folding. Whoops, folding at home.
Oh, I see. Do you need a separate thing that can actually show the status of it?
Yeah, effectively.
Yeah. Yeah, because I suppose you would have this in your pool and you would control it from another system, potentially.
I'm going to have to Google it because I've forgotten what it is. Oh, it's client.foldingathome.org. That's it. There we go. Pow, running. Done.
Excellent. So we're now folding proteins.
Yeah, it's literally that simple to make it work.
Nice.
You double click and it goes.
So now presumably you need to sign into an account or something so the work is being applied to your account.
Yeah, and you can do all of that through the web interface. Change identity, you bang in the username, stick in the team number. Passkeys are not required, but passkeys are a thing that they introduced in like 2010. And there's a thing called the QRB or quick return bonus that requires you to have a passkey. I can't remember exactly how or why. I can't remember what problem it was fixing.
I suppose potentially having a passkey prevents people from assigning completed work to your name without your permission, perhaps.
But it's a case of how is that a problem?
Exactly. It's just like, oh, someone's put money in my bank account. This is the opposite of a problem.
Yeah.
However, like maybe let's say you were doing competitive folding at home, obviously.
Yeah, but the thing is I can still fold for that username without the passkey. I just don't get the bonus. So it doesn't stop you from folding on that.
Interesting.
It just stops you getting that bonus.
Yeah.
I think it was just a development avenue that never got anywhere.
Yeah.
It only ever went into the testing stage, and then had a bonus assigned to it, and then that never went anywhere. That's what I'm presuming.
Fair enough.
I now must go to my emails and search.
Understandable.
I require none of those. I require that one. There you go. And then that's a passkey.
Okay, yeah. And that's a string of numbers and letters about that long, basically. So have fun typing that out.
Absolutely. Also, the good thing is you can assign your username to a unit at any point. So the fact that this is started doesn't matter.
Cool.
Team number. Who knows? Google will help me though.
Good. Right. So, various people talking about Carrie Holzman and toxic attitudes and stuff like that. Yeah, I still haven't watched any of his content. His name pops up now and then. But yeah, I haven't watched any of his content, if I'm honest. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea, actually. So I'm going to carry on talking about content, which is the best way forward. And like, if his YouTube channel was struggling, you know what's a really good way of getting more hits on YouTube is make content. Because you know what's happened to me this month is my YouTube numbers have been going down, and you know why that is? Because I haven't been making content. You know what I did this week? I made content. And you know what the numbers are doing? They're going back up again. It's funny how it works. If you want to get good on YouTube, make content. It's that simple. Good. Right. So, we're on the folding at home bandwagon now. Is that passkey particularly private?
No.
Okay, that's good because the capture is locked up anyway. So
well, because if people wish to give me free points, people may give me free points.
Okay.
Oh, no, that is not the correct key then. I typoed.
All right, we're going to run it again. Whoop. I'll switch that off while you're typing it in anyway, for good measure. Right, let's see. Is this folding at home actually doing anything, or is it another Bitcoin Ponzi scheme? So, for those of you who weren't here at the start, folding at home is it is a protein folding simulator, and it's used for medical research. So, folding at home, it's distributed computing number cruncher, but it's actually contributing to real medical research that actually has real world results. And Caradog mentioned at the start of the stream, which we don't have to hand, but on the folding at home like public blogs, they do actually have some guff about how about the stuff that has actually come about from the folding at home research and stuff like that. So you can look into that and see what it is. So it is based on number crunching, but this one actually does something useful instead of being a crypto miner or a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, the one that I've just picked up first here, VP35 suppresses the immune system by binding to RNA, a product of viral replication, and preventing the human cells from sensing RNA's presence. So RNA binding measurements are a good way to initially test for an effective pocket opening on immune suppression. We showed that forcing small molecules into the cryptic pocket disrupts RNA binding, as expected based on our modelling. Therefore, the Takifus pocket could provide new means to develop Ebola antiviral drugs.
There you go. So, like, lots of... I was just about following that, but yeah, the gist of it is it's to do with studying how viral stuff attaches and bonds to human cells and looking for ways to disrupt that to develop antiviral agents against that particular thing.
Yeah. In today's Folding at Home Meet the Proteins, we introduced a class of signaling proteins known as kinases that are important in cancer. There are multiple kinases which may play a role in either causing or treating cancers, etc.
So yeah, and we were talking about this earlier on, but this is the interesting thing, because what makes this fun is because you're actually doing something useful, there's actually a cool incentive to make the line go up kind of thing, which is what this is all about. So yeah.
Yeah. There was also comments somewhere else. This is Rosetta at Home, which is a different distributed computing project, but just an example of stuff they're doing. Rosetta at Home is advancing towards a phase 1 trial for their COVID nasal spray.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they've actually got something that's reaching trials then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's very cool.
The COVID moonshot has used AI-based methods to assist in compound synthesis. But when studying exactly how the molecules they move, they run them in Folding at Home. So the actual compound synthesis molecule interaction is being simulated through things in Folding at Home.
Nice. Cool. How much will your how much will your electric bill go up if you run this 24/7? Well, if you're worried about your electric bill, then yeah, running folding is not a great idea, because it will be running your computer at maximum load all the time. That's kind of what it does.
Yeah, it's like my base load is like 1 kilowatt and a bit now for it.
Yeah. So yeah, if your electric bill is of concern to you, this isn't such a good idea, especially not with electric prices being what they are right now. But if you're in a position where the electric bill is not a concern, then it's cool. So yeah.
Also, yes, as I posted in the general channel of the Discord server when it came up about solar, 9.9 kilowatts of solar go burr.
Yes. How much RAM is optimal for folding at home?
Doesn't particularly matter. There were mentions that they are looking to move towards a minimum of 4 gigabytes per slot for GPU folding with the new core, because they're on Core 22 at the moment.
Yeah.
They're just about to start beta testing on Core 23, I think. And when they do Core 23 and that rolls out to public, I think they're going to move to a minimum of 4 gigabytes per slot.
Yeah. So you don't need a lot, and it doesn't really benefit from throwing more memory at it.
Yeah, it's just going to be a case of because Ryzen, faster memory equal more performance.
Yeah, so you don't need a volume of memory. However, overclocking your memory will get you a gain.
Again, because Ryzen performance.
Yeah.
Because this is CPU folding, anything that makes your CPU faster makes the folding faster.
Yeah.
It's not specifically a case that the RAM makes it faster just because CPU performance goes up. So yeah.
Cool.
Interesting. It has selected that it can use the full 32 threads. Cool.
I should hope so.
Well, often it says, often they keep a single thread free.
Okay, yeah. So it doesn't completely tank the system it's running on, basically.
Yeah, so everything can collect around, and the entire system has a single thread, which will not be sending interrupts.
Okay,
because the thing that will slow this down the most is a core having to pause for a second to do some other task.
Yeah.
So it's surprising in a way that it's actually gone to the full allocation.
Yeah. I wonder if there's some kind of detection that it's running in a... I wonder if there's some kind of detection where it has automatically determined I'm running on a dedicated system here that is doing nothing else except folding at home.
Yeah.
Just use everything that's available.
Yeah. Yeah, because there is a power slider. Which will affect when it folds. And how many threads and so on you use. So it's like if you've got the GPU client in there, the GPU client will only run if you're on medium or full power.
Yeah.
If you had a supported GPU, it wouldn't fold on light, even if you told it to.
Yeah.
Because the light usage is supposed to be effectively undetectable to the end user.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah. But it's also a case of the only when idle setting. I think it will basically detect when there is usage above a couple of percent, and it will pause.
Cool.
And just stuff like that. So it's designed to be as unobtrusive as possible.
Yeah. Can the points you get be exchanged for cash in the bank? No. You do this out of the goodness of your heart. Basically, that's it.
There is a scheme called CureCoin and Binaro or Binaro.
Yeah,
there is
CureCoin came up in the chat.
Yeah, that somehow you get a cryptocurrency for the units you do.
Yeah.
And stuff and things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never looked.
If you're doing it for a reward, you're doing it for the wrong reason, basically.
Yeah.
It's not what it's about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's fair enough.
But yeah.
Let's see.
I'm hoping that with these two set up, I'll get another about 1 million points per day.
What are you currently clocking in?
I'm currently doing 17 to 18.
Yeah, because
a 3090 is worth about 8 million a day.
Yeah, and you've got a couple of 3060s.
Yeah, I've got a 3090, two 3060 Ti's,
and
a 5700 XT.
Yeah, nice.
And I wanted CPU.
Yeah,
the points are crap.
Yeah,
but it's because I know that the CPU pool size is shrinking.
Yeah,
and I was like, I want to add some more CPU hardware in there.
And presumably there are certain units that run better on CPU than GPU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a case that I'm just like, I want to make sure that there are at least a couple of decent high thread, high clock, high IPC gobs of RAM systems. So if they suddenly go, oh Christ, we've got a CPU unit that needs 16 gigs of RAM to run and 30 odd threads, I can be like, ta-da!
Cool. Yep, it's there.
So yeah.
Nice.
But yes, they do seem to have been scaling CPU units up in size recently.
Can you limit the CPU using folding at home? You could, yeah. You can set it.
You can set the number of threads it uses. Yeah. So like on this, I'll need to tweak. But because of the way the boost algorithm works, I might actually get better performance by setting it to only run on like 20 threads.
Yeah.
Because of the boost behavior.
Because you'll get higher clocks at 20 threads. Yeah.
So I'll need to...
and then you're getting into the optimization game.
Yeah. But also a case of you can set the CPU to run on it 2 threads up to 64, I think is the maximum. And if you happen to be in a system that was like dual 64 core processors, you just run 2 slots. It's 64 cores each.
Yeah. Fair enough. Cool. Right, catching up on chat. Floorlamp says, my USB PCH tester just arrived. Do you want one of these to play around with? I would certainly be interested in that, Floorlamp. If you can get one to me or link me to somewhere that will ship one to me, I would certainly pick one of those up, because that would be good to know. Because there are, I do encounter some boards where I just feel like I'm getting nowhere, and just knowing if you're actually just on a doomed project from the start or not would be very, very handy.
What the hell is the...
Would folding at home be best on a little NUC with very low TDP?
No.
No. I mean, obviously, the lower power you've got, the fewer points you're going to get at the end of the day.
But it's also the case about making it so you're completing the science sufficiently fast for it to be useful.
Yeah.
Because if you look here, it says my computer has 3.99 days to complete this. Zoop. Scroll. There you go. My computer has 3.99 days to complete this work unit. This unit will time out in 4 days from allocation.
Yeah.
Which means that after 4 days, it's functionally useless.
Yeah.
So you must complete it in no more than 3.99 days, effectively.
Yeah.
If it's taking you 3.99 days to complete a CPU unit, I contend that you're folding on hardware that isn't fast enough. Because
and at
a
that point,
5950X will take an hour and 40 to complete this unit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a case of, whilst I'm not saying everyone needs to go out and spend £700 on a CPU,
yes.
£200 on a motherboard,
yeah.
it's a case that
suffice
minimum
to say,
viable hardware.
Yeah, there's no point in running it on just junk you've got on e-waste you've got lying around, because it's not going to complete a work unit fast enough to be useful, and therefore you are just pissing power into the wind.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What the hell is the package installer store thingy? What's it called? Is it this?
Can you fold using GPU like in the past? Yeah, you can absolutely fold on the
absolutely.
GPUs.
I fold on 4 at the moment.
Yeah.
And the NVIDIA stuff is faster by a long shot, just because NVIDIA spent a lot of time and money backporting, is that the word? Contributing to the open source folding at home project.
Yeah.
Just when CUDA came out, NVIDIA actually dedicated a bunch of their developers to go, make this fast.
Yeah.
And basically there were a whole bunch of comments and stuff on the open source project to go, here's how to make it faster for our GPUs.
Yeah.
And there was lots of that, and there was actual hands-on money given to the folding at home team, and also actual code given to make it fast.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, can I now go Chrome?
Another brick in the wall for planet using energy. To an extent, but again, it's for medical research, so that's the thing. That's the distinction here that I'm trying to point out, is we're not mining some crypto coin that's going to get gambled on kind of thing. It's not, this isn't the SETI project where we're looking for extraterrestrial life, which is arguably never had any meaningful impact on the world.
So much to the point it's SETI at home shut down a few years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say they shut down because, and I don't think anyone particularly cared, really. I mean, I don't want to say that there was never any use in their project, but the fact that they stopped working on it is also kind of telling, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas in this instance, because it's actually working on medical research that actually has a real world usage, I would wager that it's actually worth doing. But obviously that's a decision for y'all to make, so I'll leave that one at that.
But yeah, especially as I'm going to be running this all off of solar power.
You're going to be running it on solar power?
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. Have you got a setup already, or is this something that you're moving into?
We're
you're getting
having every square millimetre of our roof covered in solar panels.
Neat.
To give us 9.9 kilowatts of peak output.
That's a lot of peak output, yeah. Yeah.
Every square millimetre.
Yeah. That's pretty good. So even assuming that you're only ever going to get like 20% of that, that's still going to be sort of 2 kilowatts most of the time.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big dent in the footprint of your entire setup.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's going to be 9.9 kilowatts of solar and 45 kilowatts of battery storage.
Oh, neat. Yeah, that's cool as well. So yeah, with the battery storage, obviously that means you're putting away the excess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, nice.
And it's a case of, I realise this is a lot of money, but at the same time, it's not a lot of money. It's like £30,000 to do it all. And I'm like, that's not bad.
Yeah. And
9.9 kilowatts of power generation with 45 kilowatts of storage.
Yeah. Considering the way that everything is going, it's a good time to be investing in renewable power, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And as a kind of side project to a degree, I'm going to be helping my friend out in whatever capacities I can, because he's setting up a company selling the battery storage.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah,
rad.
So I'm going to be going through and doing stuff with and for him for that.
Nice. Is this the same chap who might be able to help or have a use for the spot welding machine?
Yeah, or at the very least can come up with situations to demonstrate it in a real life setup. Yeah.
Yeah, we should follow up on that at some point soon then.
Yeah.
Cool. Right.
There you go.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm intrigued that Chrome isn't in the Ubuntu package manager.
Oh.
Unless I have to like
Chromium.
Oh, I wonder if there's a like enable non-open source packages or something. Download packages from list? No.
What do the points mean in folding at home? It's an arbitrary number of how many units you've completed.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It points are assigned to a work unit based on how long it will take to complete and how difficult it is. And it's roughly scalar, with I think a 1 gigahertz Pentium 3 gets 1 point per unit.
Okay, yeah.
So the speed that a 1 gigahertz Pentium 3 was able to complete a CPU work unit at was 1 point per unit.
Yeah.
Therefore, this getting 25,395 points means it completes the unit 25,395 times faster, effectively. Yeah. Or, in the same amount of time, is doing 25,395 times more maths.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Fair enough.
So, yeah.
Mr. Guru says, try doing a sudo apt-get Chrome.
Oh, yeah. That's a really much smarter way of doing it, isn't it?
Yep.
Sudo apt-get space Chrome. Invalid operation Chrome.
Did it. Linux ready for home user desktop. So I will keep banging that joke, even though it's strictly true.
My
apt-get install Chrome.
There we go. I knew it was something.
Oh yeah, and he's installed. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Unable to locate package.
It needs to be Chromium. Everyone is saying.
Oh no. I'm pretty certain I require actual Google Chrome though.
Does Chromium all still run all of the extensions though? Surely.
The Google store for extensions. We shall find out.
Yeah.
Is it literally Chrome? Oh no, it's
Chromium. Yeah, we're after a specific extension for Chrome. So we need.
Chromium is not available, but it's referred to by a package. The package is missing, obviously, to have the package replace it. Chromium BSU. The hell is?
It starts. Just want to install Chrome. Now we have to download a programming language. It starts. And on that bombshell, it's time to end the show.
Absolutely.
We are not doing this live now.
No, I was going to say if it was a case of just sudo apt-get install.
Yeah.
Because I completely forgot to even try that time. But yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's fine. I'll play around with that later. But yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Hang on a sec. Let me rub my eyes blearily. Read the last couple of lines of chat, and then we'll close up. Have I heard any of the new Red Hot Chili Peppers stuff? I haven't. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a big fan of Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is not to say I dislike them. There's just not that many songs that they've done that I think are bops. If I'm honest, there's a couple of their well-known ones, but yeah, broadly speaking, I mean, I don't think I've really sat down and listened to their albums through. But I don't know. There are plenty of other bands that, as far as I'm concerned, everything they put out is an absolute banger. Red Hot Chili Peppers aren't one of them. So yeah. But I'll leave it at that because otherwise we'll get into the topic of music and I could do an entire podcast on music.
You said that when we were doing it from home and you said that we would do it at some point.
Well, we always said sort of, we'll each say a band that we like at the end of the show or something like that. So let's just finish on that. This week I've been listening to A Perfect Circle because I was listening to Tool and I was listening to Tool's most recent album and I was like, this is okay, but it hasn't got that many bangers on it. And then I thought, but that's kind of what Tool are. Tool are an aesthetic. You know, they're a very ambient kind of band, but there's always one or two kickers on each album. If you want an entire album of bangers that sound a lot like Tool, you go listen to A Perfect Circle. So I've been listening to A Perfect Circle because it's the same singer. Caradog, who have you been listening to this week?
I will be entirely honest and say I haven't listened to a song or an album in probably 5 or 6 months.
Fair enough.
All of the time where I would be listening to music has been filled with podcasts.
I have actually not been listening to a lot of bands lately. It's only been recently where I was just specifically in the mood for some stuff. Also, it's power cycling now for reasons unknown.
Yeah, I forgot this wasn't the S-board, so it won't do.
Oh, did you try and overclock the RAM?
I tried to set it to XMP.
Yes.
And forgot that it couldn't. This board cannot XMP this RAM.
Fair enough. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Anyway. Oh, excuse me.
The last thing I listened to was Disturbed, Land of Confusion.
Yeah. That's a banger.
Yeah.
Yep. As someone who's a Phil Collins fan as well, that's a banger. What's it done?
This is the backup BIOS.
Oh, good
job. It recovered to the backup BIOS. It's like,
and this is why it should be on single BIOS when in production mode.
I'm just like, yeah, indeed.
Dual BIOS while you're updating, then single BIOS. Right, my throat is dying and I need to go and cough up a lung. So I'm going to go. I've enjoyed this conversation in English. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. We'll be back next week with something, as usual. Thank you for all the super chats this week. There's been a bunch of them. Much appreciated, everyone. And that's about it, I think. So yes, see you next time. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming.
Cheerio and goodbye. I've got to find studio. There we go.
Find studio. There's studio. Goodbye.
Bye.
Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss.